Hello, everyone. Can I get a water? It's Josh Turner. This is my live stream. Can everybody hear me? Yeah, I actually feel much better. Kidney stone was over 5 millimeters. It sucks, believe me. I'm running around checking on my posts, and next thing you know, I'm having kidney pain and wasn't going away, and told my wife, man, this isn't good. I'm having problems. And next thing you know, I'm like ready to lay on the floor. It's a very humbling experience. The third one I've had, actually, I think that this is actually a continuation of one that just kind of stopped moving and then it started back up again. They just kind of stay there, and then when they start moving, they hurt. I used a supplement called Chanza Piedra to get rid of the last one. So I had to get some more, and hopefully that's, I still haven't completely passed it. I believe it's like moved into my bladder. But I was talking to a fellow podcaster. He's an author, Lon Strickler. He's a friend of mine, and he was giving me some ideas on what I should do to, and he's had chronic kidney stones for years. And so having a lengthy conversation with Lon kind of helped. It's good to know people and have friends that'll give you some advice. My friend John Bankhead gave me some advice about his kidney stone, what he had to go through. Folks, we got a full plate of stuff to eat here today, to digest. So, live stream's filling up. Everybody's talking. Hello to everyone. This Roger dude might not be lying, but there's some lies, shady stuff going on in the, what did you say here? Stuff going on in the background that makes this whole thing highly suspect. I agree. And we're going to talk about that. And I'm going to call up a friend of mine, and we're going to get him on the show. Hopefully, I'm pretty sure he'll be available. If not, I'll just have to catch him another time, but we're going to call him, see what he thinks. John Villafranca, thank you for your donation. Lou the good dude. Do we have a list of our supporters, of our Patreon supporters, so that I can thank them for their gracious donations and helping support the show? Tax season's upon us, and I'm going to be having to do mine like everybody else. I got tomorrow and the next day, and then time to pay Uncle Sam, unfortunately. So I hope everybody's got their taxes in order, or at least filed for your extension. Just waiting on my buddy here, my trusty companion, Anthony Moreno, my nephew, to give me that list. Andy, yes, a name was decided on, the Paratroopers, because we will eventually move into being an organization that will overthrow the world. That is the ultimate goal of PRT. They asked me the other day, I did an interview for a British magazine, and I gave them my story, and I kept trying to talk about my long-term goals, and the guy just kept wanting to talk about my dogman experience, and I'm like, okay, well, I have long-term goals. He just didn't seem too interested in it. Actually, that article should have already dropped. I don't know whatever happened to it. I never got a copy of it, so gave this guy a free freaking interview. didn't even get a copy of the article. Still don't know what's going on with the Travel Channel and what they're going to do with my episode that they picked up. They're supposed to drop it in this summer, but COVID's just kind of made everything wacky. So we'll see what happens. Trying to adjust the camera a little bit. So I hope everybody's had a good Easter. I hope everybody had a good, I don't think I've seen you guys since Easter, because right after Easter is when I got my kidney stone, so I don't think I got to see you guys. Hopefully everybody had a good Easter holiday. See Ryan's in the house regulating. The battle station plans have been put on hold, Ryan. We have things to do. Double A, you're talking about the rake creatures. I actually am going to be doing a show pretty soon about that. Talked to a woman not too long ago about her theories and what she honestly believes these rakes are, and it had to do with the caves in Kentucky. And it was odd, but it wasn't the first time I'd heard something like that, and it had to do with spiders. And so I've been kind of putting together a show. I kind of do what my colleague Dave Weatherly does, and I work on several projects at once, and that's one of the things that I've been kind of working on. John Villafranca, thank you for another donation. I appreciate it.
Just keep scrolling until all the music finishes.
Okay, wow. Look at that. The light of Irindi. It's like right in your face. Oh! I look like I'm about to be killed by the Ark of the Covenant. Okay. These are the people who helped produce the show. Titan, Chronological, Dead Man Walking. I'm assuming these are not their birth names, but names that were given to us nonetheless. Dawn Wells, Melissa Penne, which, by the way, I'm also wearing a different one of her creations. Her and her husband, very talented. Taleka Jackson, Derek Tribble, Crusader DV or Crusader. I don't know how you say that, but thank you. Rudy Gutierrez, Andrea Krask, Patrick Nickerson, Shannon, Dick Richards, Joyce Brunette, Wendy Page Williams, Earl Bowers, Barbara Blendy, Martin Hertel, Terry Fusler, Chris Clough, Lou the Good Dude, Curtis Turner, no relation, Philip Morin, Alexander Murphy, Matthew Durgo, Chris Smith, and Ralph Ayou. Is that it? And thank you for your donation, John Villafranco. Thank you for another one. You're on a roll, dude. I appreciate it. Thank you. Laugh out loud. Josh beat me to the joke. Well, today what we got going on, I want to talk to you guys real quick about something before we go any further. My mother is very ill, gravely ill. She's in the hospital. She's in the ICU. She's still there. She's supposed to be having a procedure tomorrow. We don't know if they've postponed it. But unfortunately, only my sister has access to talk to her, and she's only communicating here and there. I don't know. I can't go see her. They only allow one person per the duration of their stay to go into the ICU because of COVID protocol. So she's actually kind of being the one she's getting to see her. And I'm barely able to talk to her. When I talk to her, she's barely coherent. They said that she's becoming a little more coherent, which is good news. But please keep my mother in your prayers because I haven't seen her since the COVID thing started, and I would like to see my mother again, especially if she's going to be not on this earth. I would like to be able to see her before she passes away. So if you people could please pray for that, not only for her to get better, but that I get to see her again, you know, and God's will be done. I mean, if it's time to go, it's time to go. I have to accept that. You go through the whole spectrum of emotions, and the final emotion is always acceptance, and you accept it. I've had to accept the death of many people that I love and care about in my life to the point of just feeling like dying myself at times. But I'm not ready for my mother to leave this earth yet. I'd like to have more time with her, as with many other people. My mother is also, if she makes it through this and she gets healthy, I want her to come on the show and talk about her near-death experience, and also talk a little bit about some of the things that went on when she was working for a company when they were building a water treatment plant out here in Westlake, back when Austin wasn't overrun with 5 million people from other states. And it was just a smaller community, and it was very heavily wooded, and that area was just wild. And she had some pretty crazy stories, and one day she was telling me and Nellie about them. And I was like thinking, man, she's got a wealth of information, stories of my hometown, things like that. And she's never really been one to want to talk about it, but I'd like to get her on and let her talk one day. She told me not too long ago, before she went in the hospital, that she was interested in finally coming out and talking about it, But we'll see what happens. Lisa Marie, thank you for your donation. She says you're my number 2 fan. Oh no, number 1 fan. And almost like a number 2. I was like, is that a joke? Nobody's ever bragged about being a number 2 fan, but that's nice. Thank you for that. That's pretty cool. Becky DeBoard, thank you for always being a supporter and a fan. Ethan, Texas Pete, good to see you. The man with the amazing voice. I see Nina. You hi Ryan, but not me. Okay, I remember that. I'm very vindictive. I'm half Hispanic. I remember everything, and I'll get you back. Don't worry. Don't worry. I'm just playing. Being a Latino, you do have a vindictiveness about us that we remember things. They say, he's got a Latin temper. I can use that because I have a very bad temper, but I actually think I got it from my dad's side. The people on my mom's side are not nearly as rowdy as the ones on my dad's side. And I have a very large family on my dad's side. And being Hispanic on my mom's side, that just goes without saying you're going to have a large family, but I have a very large family on my dad's side too. Like we had a Thanksgiving one year and we did a head count. It was like 100 and something people there. And that wasn't even everybody. That was just, part of us. So what we're going to talk about today, we're getting started here. Let me go ahead and give you all the information here. We have prtpodcast.com. That's the website. Anthony's, you built that website, right? Yeah. He had his peeps help him work on it. They are gnomes, average garden gnomes, about 3 or 4 inches tall. He had them all kind of working for him.
They're competent.
They're competent, yeah. If they get out of line, they're very tiny, so you can punish them very easily. You just kind of, and then they get back to work. Much more proficient than the nephews and people that I have working in my security company. Amy, thank you for your donation. Appreciate that. Thank you for everybody who's here. We got 152 viewers. Everybody's excited to be back in the fray. I hope everybody's enjoying the Dana Holyfield episode. Me and Dana had been talking for a while. We've been friends for a while. I don't know if people know this or not, but her ex-husband was on Swamp People. It was a show. And so Dana's got a real pedigree, Harlan Ford being her grandfather. She's a very nice person. She's a fun person to talk to off camera, too. She's very mild-mannered. Reminds me of Linda Godfrey. Very, very friendly. Get along with her very well. And she's willing to welcome me with open arms, come down there to do an expedition. But after having talked to Nick Valente the other night for a couple of hours, shooting the bull, he told me when he went down there, it was a mess, dude. It was like a lot of bugs, a lot of snakes, a lot of things. I don't know what I have talked to Lyle and Ken, about doing that and going down there. And Trey Felton, who's a good friend of mine from Thorndale, who's going to be coming on the show. He's wrote a book about a lot of weird paranormal stuff from Central Texas. He's going to be coming on soon, and he's got a plane. And I was thinking, we could maybe go and fly over. But then I also remembered that the Big Bopper and Buddy Holly and Richie Valens all died in a plane about that size. So I was like, you know what? Maybe I'll just stay at the hotel and y'all can go fly the plane. And then I'll be like, I survived, man. I was there, man. Then I can write a book about it. I wouldn't do that. Those are my friends. I'm just going to tell them, you're not allowed on the plane. Sorry. A lot of weird stuff, man. So I'm going to be doing another episode soon about the Devil's Backbone, too. I'm actually, as soon as I'm done with tax season and getting all this stuff taken care of, I got a bunch of trademark stuff I got to deal with. I got about, how many sets of lawyers are we dealing with right now? Four sets of lawyers. Once we get all this legal stuff taken care of and getting it all out of the way, I'm going to be doing a lot of projects. I'm going to start pushing really hard on these things. Devil's Backbone is going to come up again because recently got some information from some people from the Devil's Backbone talking about, how when I file away a one-off, well, this story that I had gotten from someone years ago, I kind of just filed it away because I wanted to do a all ghost episode of the Devil's Backbone and the ghost stories from there, and not just do this hodgepodge of different stuff that's gone on, but just do a really creepy ghost story episode. Because there's a lot of creepy ones, a lot of really creepy ones. And somebody gave me one the other day, and I was like, I think I've heard something like this before. When I go back into my files and I look, and I found it, and it was creepy. And I was talking to my wife's friend from California yesterday, and I was telling him about some of the creepy stuff that I uncovered over the years. And since I last did the Devil's Backbone episode in 2019, gotten more stories and done more research. So it's a very creepy place. We're going to talk about it again, at least give it another hour of worth our time. And so that's coming up too. We also got a little more information involving the Dogman supposedly kept by drug dealers. That was a pretty crazy story and / investigation. Going to have somebody actually maybe come on the show and talk about that. And he's going to be anonymous, but he's going to talk about it. And we have a bunch of different people that have given us different information that have kind of contradicting some of it. But this one individual claims that he knows the true story about it. Something that happened a long time ago involving a dog man. It says here, my dad had been to Devil's Backbone because he was in the Boy Scouts. I think in the 70s, the Boy Scout crew did not last the night. I don't blame him. When I spent the night out there, I had a weird dream about a conquistador. Very weird place. Very strange. I also had the hitchhiker episode incident that happened with us, where I'm pretty sure it was a person. Lisa Marie, I believe I gave you a shout out. My wife just sent me a message saying to give you a shout out. I'm pretty sure I did, but just in case, I'll just give you another one. A lot of people was overwhelmed with the number of people who prayed for me, who messaged me. Those of you who messaged me and asked how I was doing. I'm sorry if I didn't respond always because it was so painful. What I was going through was very, very painful. So, Sir Paul, thank you. Appreciate it. I did talk to Paul. Speaking of Paul, I probably talked to Paul Sinclair the other day, and when we get the time together, we're gonna do it up and chop it up, and he's gonna come back on the show. I say come back on because I've done an hour with him, and we didn't release it. because we were going to continue it, and then we never did. And it was my old co-host Armando, who, I'll be real honest, wasn't very popular with most of the listeners. So his departure was something that I didn't push for, but he did it on his own. I think he kind of felt like, I think he felt it, and so he just kind of left. And so, people sometimes still ask me how he's doing. I'm still his friend. We don't really talk very much anymore, but every once in a while, and he seems to be doing okay. I think he kind of got turned off by a lot of the infighting and stuff that was going on, not with us, but with the people from the outside. I'm still having some issues with that. I will post something on my Facebook, and I will show you people what I've kind of had to deal with. I make a comment, or I post a link to my show, and immediately this other individual's psychophants jump on it and start attacking me. And it happened again recently in the Dogman Believers Only group. I'm just kind of like, whatever, dude, here we go again. They shadow me. And I got the screenshots to prove it. It's just so ridiculous. Like, these people, they're like the Manson children or something, the Manson family. I don't get it. They're so rabid over this dude. And they just do not want to chill. I've just gotten where I try to ignore it, just kind of don't feed into it. But when people accuse me or my site of being fan fiction, first of all, fans don't write fake stories to send to me, if that's what he's getting at. I mean, I guess they could, but I try to do as good a job as I can of vetting everybody. I do a lot of heavy vetting to try to get, as much of the truth out there as possible. Apparently they don't, though. You can write up any old garbage and they'll just talk about it, and they'll change your story too. So remember that. It's always nice. PRTpodcast.com is our website, but also my email address is joshturner@prtpodcast.com, joshturner@prtpodcast.com. Send me your stories, or you can message me. I'm a little backed up right now, folks, and if I haven't gotten to you, I sincerely apologize. I'm talking like maybe 200-300 emails that I need to get through. I mean, I'm going way back months because it's just me doing it. Try to get other people to help me, but a lot of people in my crew are busy working and doing stuff for our business. The business is growing, and it's just unbelievable how much work we have. I mean, Anthony, you can attest to that.
Sure.
I mean, we are just slammed. I mean, a lot of construction is going on in Austin, and we're doing security for it. We have a lot of fire watches because of the pipes that burst, and so the sprinkler systems went down. Fire department makes you have a fire watch. So we're working all the time, working on the weekends. I'm out running around doing all kinds of stuff, and so it's very hard. And then on top of that, I'm trying to keep the show going. I'm trying to continue to get stories, and I had started kind of working on a book, and just didn't have time. I had to put it on hold, put it on the back burner. I couldn't even get through the first few pages of what I wanted to write because it's just, I'm so overwhelmed with work and all the stuff I have to deal with. But we're going to get to it. Here's what I'm going to do. Also, I need your submissions for the Mothman art contest. The Willie Williams art contest is in full swing. Remember, the first place is $100. Second place is $50, and then $25, and then you get PRT swag, which we have a bunch of. We just loaded up on. Here's the thing. I talked to the guys at the NADP, and they have started an art contest too, kind of based on ours. Barry, thank you for that donation. Appreciate it. But the thing is, there are two different kinds of art going on, and it was pointed out to me. Some people are using graphic art from a computer, and some people are using regular art. Now, people, y'all decide what you want to do, because I always try to be a man, for the people. Okay, so whatever the people decide, that's what we're going to do. You guys want to have the computer graphic art allowed to compete with the regular art, because so far we've had people doing graphic art on the computer going head to head with the regular artwork, and the regular artwork seems to be winning at least the top spots. Although when it happened in the NADP, with Valente's group, somebody that used computer generated art won. Although it was a neat generated art, it was still not really. It was done by a computer. But it's up to you guys, man. How do you want to do it? It says, hi, Nelly. This is Lene. Prayers for all you still going out for you and all me. Oh, and by the way, Lene. So, anyways, you guys let me know what you want to do. Mothman is what's on the. It's what we're doing. This past week's winner, and it'll be Dana Holyfield's book that she wrote, and it's autographed. And it's based on the story of the Honey Island Swamp Monster. Lene Perkins, you're the winner. So congratulations, Lene Perkins. Reminds me of Parks and Recreation. Ann Perkins. What was his name? Rob Lowe. Ann Perkins. That was a great show. It's made by people that made The Office. If you haven't seen it, it's really funny. Another good one, I don't really want to even say the name of it, but it's Something Creek. It's Eugene Levy and his son, Daniel Levy. It's on Netflix. It's pretty funny. Go check it out. It's a funny show. But, so what we're looking at, folks, I'm going to make a phone call in about a few minutes. I'm going to make a phone call, and I'm going to see if this individual will answer the phone. I messaged him about possibly doing this, and he's a good friend of mine, and we're going to get him on the phone, and we're going to talk about the LBL, and we're going to get his take on it. He's never been a guest on my show, but I'm going to put him on the show at some point and just delve into all of his work and get into a long discussion with him. He's been very busy lately, so yeah, we're going to do that. Edith Gomez, Bandera, Texas. Bandera. That's where Rudy's Barbecue started. One of the best barbecues in Texas, too. But still my favorite. Number one is Thorndale. Thorndale Meat Market with Trey Felton. This can't beat it. Best sausage ever. Best barbecue. Best everything. Pork belly. Number two is Styles Switch. Shane Styles, I grew up with him. Went to school with him. His restaurant is second to none here in Austin. People stand in line to go eat subpar barbecue, and I'm going like, that's probably the best one in Austin right there, and that's where you should probably go. So, Donna, thank you for that. Thank you for that donation. That's very generous. Donna Williams, everyone. So what we're going to do here, I think we've talked about everything. Don't forget to join our groups. If you're on YouTube or on Facebook, please join our groups. Paranormal Round Table is the main group. That's where the official link is. Every episode, we drop the official link from the YouTube link onto Paranormal Round Table group. If you go and you make a comment, that is how you get entered into the chance to win the contest. Okay, so don't forget, if you join Paranormal Round Table group and then you go and you leave a comment on the link for the official link that's put out every Friday for the show. And that's how Lene Perkins won her autographed book that she's going to be getting, along with some swag. So that's happening. Paranormal Roundtable group. Even if you don't like Facebook, just join Facebook to be on the group. Just be a part of what we're doing. Stay abreast on what's going on in the world of PRT and Josh Turner and my many friends out there in the paranormal community. Matt, I'm not going to say that, but Matt, thank you for your donation. PRT Livestream, let's go. And so we have the contest, and then Paranormal Encounters, which is Mushu, my part-time co-host, his group that he runs, and then Paranormal Lounge, which is my wife Nellie's group that she runs, and then Whisper to a Scream with Ryan Tremblay, one of my very best friends in the paranormal world. Great cryptid guy, does a ton of research, man. The guy, him and Nick Valente, two of the best researchers I can tell you right now. They research the heck out of everything. That's not taking away from anybody else, you know. My author friends, Chad Lewis, Linda Godfrey, Lon Strickler. Lon, I thank you so much for talking to me about that kidney stone and giving me all that advice. Can't say enough for that. And Jody Cook, good friend of mine, love him to death. Ken Gerhard, very great guy, love him. Nick Redfern, awesome dude. He's a Brit, now a Texan. Been living here for a while. Him and Lyle Blackburn live up in Fort Worth, not far from each other. I believe Nick lives in Arlington, though. Who did I miss? David Weatherly, who's my neighbor, who lives right here in Central Texas. Great guy. Those are all my friends. Try to communicate with them as much as possible. They're nice people. They're good people. They have great books, great authors, write about all kinds of cool stuff. And I hope someday to join them in the ranks of being a published author. I just don't have time to barely comb my hair right now, folks. Becoming a published author is like a pipe dream at this point. I'm even trying. Also, I wanted some prayers to go out. We're trying to close on some land out in here in Central Texas, out away from the city, so that I can build my house, put my studio and my office there. Please, 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 please say some prayers for us to help us so we can get this and get it going, man. Mike Turner, thank you. Thank you. For no relation, but good guy. Mike Turner. Rudy Aguilar, thank you for your donations, gentlemen. I appreciate everybody's being so generous. The Salt Lick Barbecue in Driftwood. Ethan, I like the Salt Lick, okay? And actually that area out there near Driftwood has a lot of weird paranormal stuff out there. But the Salt Lick doesn't hold a candle to Style Switch or Thorndale. Sorry. Got to throw that out there. Josh, a lot of lies told about the family that was massacred at LBL. The cops, the little girl, Connie was not found in the tree, as was rumored. We're going to get into that. I think we've already covered everything we need to cover, right? So we can go ahead and make this call. Let's call this individual up. And if he doesn't answer, folks, it's not my fault. I'm just calling this guy out the cuff here. So let's see what happens. Make sure I'm doing this right. Whoop.
You can just click.
There it is. Yeah, so I just click it on there. Yep, and we're going to call him. So let's see what happens. Can everybody see me still?
Wow.
Hello.
Hey, Jody.
Hey, how you doing?
Josh Turner from Paranormal Round Table.
How you doing, buddy?
How you doing, man? Are you busy?
Pretty good. Nope, fine.
Good, awesome. So I had messaged you a while back about possibly coming on and talking about the stuff that was going on with this, the LBL and the whole situation with this individual that came forward a couple weeks back.
Yeah.
And I wanted to get into that. But first, I mean, folks, this is Jody Cook. I want to introduce you. If anybody doesn't know, Jody is the head of the NADP. Do you want to explain to people what you do and what that is, Jody?
Yeah, the NADP is a North American Dogman Project. We went online about 2016. It's been around since 2006. But I mean, it blew up. I never expected it to really get as big as it is. You know, we've got chapters, you know, across the United States. We have chapters in just about every continent. We've got close to about 800 members. Get a lot of information from, you know, a lot of different countries on Dogman. You know, we put a lot of stuff on the, you know, our website. There's still a lot that we're putting on. It's just we got so much stuff. It just takes a lot of time to get it on there. And we don't post a whole lot of it on Facebook. And a lot of people kind of like wonder why we're not doing that, because I don't want to take away from the website, you know, and we like to post this stuff on the website. So that's that's about it. Like I said, it's just it's grown and grown, to be what it is. We got a lot of recognition from a lot of different agencies, different outlets out there that really like the website. Even we even had what's that guy from the Wild Man show?
I know who you're talking about. God, what's that guy's name?
He did a Bigfoot show a while back. Brother. I can't think of his name. It's
You're
just
talking about Survivor Man?
Yeah, Survivor.
Yeah, Survivor Man.
Yeah.
What is his name?
Yeah.
I can't even remember his name.
Les Strauss.
Les Stroud, yeah. That's right. Les.
Yeah. He made a really nice comment, about the website. I was really happy about that. And what I thought was kind of interesting is, our provider, our website provider, even contacted us and said, you guys are getting hit more than most porn sites are. So I thought that was real cool. So,
well, that says something.
Yeah. It's interesting. We get calls, from them periodically, because they're always telling us, we've been having a lot of government agencies like on our website. We've had like the NSA, the CIA's been on there, Department of Defense, Department of the Army, just about every DNR in the state has been on the site. Yeah, it's kind of interesting because they were really worried about it for a while, wondering why a lot of these government agencies are, monitoring the site, because they contacted us and said, are you guys doing something you're not supposed to be doing? Because you're getting a lot of government agencies monitoring you. I mean, it's just not like one time. They've been on it like, 2-3 times a week just on the site. And, my view on that is I don't think it's, the CIA or the NSA just, saying, hey, what's what these guys are doing. They're probably employees, on a government computer, surfing the net and, and they're looking at the site. I think that's what kind of a lot of it is.
Well, you guys actually, I know from talking to your colleague, Nick, he was on my show not too long ago.
Mm-hmm.
And you were going to be on the show, but you were very busy. You were making a documentary, which I actually subsequently, you're finished with that now, right? Or you guys are?
No, we're about 80% finished on that. We had quite a few setbacks on it. Actually, I mean, when the coronavirus hit, that really set us back. All the witnesses that we were set to interview, all end up getting the coronavirus. And a lot of them, I mean, they're up there in age, and they're at the point right now. It's like, we're still debating on, how are we going to do the interview? And it's just like, you got your shot. I mean, we can sit, 10 feet away from each other. We got to get this interview done. We had other setbacks. We had, the person that was doing the editing just stopped without any reason whatsoever, explanation or nothing, just stopped saying, I'm not doing it anymore. That kind of set us back. A couple of the companies we are going through on getting like the documentary.
I think we killed the sound there. I'm sorry, folks. Jody, if you're there, let me pull this out real quick.
We're gonna have to change the mics that we use.
Okay, Jody, are you there? I think we lost him.
You there?
Yeah, we have a little bit of audio difficulty. People are reporting that there's an echo on your end whenever you're talking, and I think it's something that we can fix. But I don't want to mess it up here. I want you to be able to say what you have to say without an echo, without it messing up. So somebody said, Wolf, ask Jody if he has his computer playing in the background.
No, that's us. All right. You're going to have to use the headphones and use this as a mic.
Okay, it's fine.
No, it's not as convenient, but That's the only way we cut out the echo.
We're gonna take this off.
Yeah, you can take that off. Okay. Sorry, Jody, we're just having to,
Yeah, we're trying to make this.
switch to a microphone and a headset so that we can cut your echo out.
Got to mess up my beautiful hair. That's great.
Capture it right
That's
now.
all right, Jody. We've been friends a long time. I'll do it for you. And that'll probably help cut back on the echo.
Okay, so you should be able to hear them with these headphones. Okay,
Did not anticipate this happening, but things don't always work out the way they're supposed to. Who's using the last? All right. Can you hear me? Can you hear me, Jody? No response.
He's texting right now.
Okay.
Okay. I'm just trying to.
See if we can get it back online. Can everybody hear me out there?
You know what? Maybe Jody can't hear you because someone changed the end of this call. Might be able to hear you now.
Can you hear me, Jody? Good. You can hear me.
Okay.
Yeah, we had to change the settings on dealing with technology.
All right. Now everything should be good to go now.
All right. So we wanted to cut down the echo, so I went ahead and changed my mic, and I put on a set of headphones. Yeah. So can folks? You're a little bit quiet though. Let me see if I can raise his volume a little. I'll raise it up. Ooh, that's loud. Right at the same time, it just went. Folks, can y'all at home, can you hear me and Jody? Somebody said they can hear me, but not Jody. Say something, Jody. Yeah, it just says can't hear Jody. Yeah, I can hear you just fine, but apparently they're not able to hear you. And I think my tech guy just went out there to check to make sure that you're coming through. Can you hear Jody at all? Yeah, I can hear you just fine, but apparently they're not able to hear you. Okay. Says yeah, they're saying they hear me, but not you. We're going to fix that. Because we were going to try and do it through Google and Hangouts, and it just didn't want to cooperate.
Yeah, how's that now?
I can hear you pretty good, but I don't think anybody else can hear you. Since we started talking about government agencies,
Yeah.
it was like, okay.
No, that's weird because I have my headphones on. How's that?
All right. See if they can hear him now.
All right, now try speaking again, Jody.
Hello?
Okay.
It says we can. All right,
Hello?
so yeah, I think they're hearing you. Can you hear me, Jody?
Yeah, I can hear you fine.
Okay. Let's see if I can should I turn the volume up a little bit? See if we got it. Yeah, it says they can hear us both now. Good.
Well, that's good. That's good.
Sorry, folks, we had to do that. Hopefully the audio will be a little bit better and more clear now. So what I wanted to talk about, let's see if I can move this camera over just a tad. Folks, I can tell you this. I've known Jody for a long time. He's been in this field a long time, longer than I have. I got into this field in about 2015. It's always been interesting to me, but I've been into the paranormal, the weird for a long time. But you've been doing it a long time. Now, you started out talking about UFOs, right? That was your first.
Yeah, that was the first thing I did back in the 80s. I belonged to a UFO group. It was called ASK, which is the Associates for Scientific Knowledge. And we had a live TV show we did on the first Wednesday of every month on public access TV. This was before cable. And it ran for about 8 years. So, so we were getting a lot of cryptid stuff, a lot of Bigfoot stuff. And the UFO stuff was really interesting. I really enjoyed it, but I kind of wanted something different. So I got, start dabbing into the cryptids. Doing the Bigfoot stuff was actually the first thing. And I was a deputy sheriff at the time. And I was in Kentucky. There was a small seminar that was taking place over there. And so I went to Kentucky and met a couple different, deputies and police from different agencies. And we were just sitting talking, one night, and this was like 1987. And one of them was telling us about a story about LBL, that he responded, to the case down there where this family was massacred. Mm-hmm. Now, this is the first time I ever heard it. Okay, ever heard of LBL, the Beast of LBL, or anything familiar with the Dog Man? Okay, now I knew about the 1972 Defiance, Ohio case, where this town was basically harassed by a dog man for about a week. And the surprising thing about it, if you ever see the movie Silver Bullet, yeah, that movie was basically based off of the Defiance, Ohio case. So that was kind of interesting. But everybody kind of knew about that because that went worldwide. And he's telling us this story that he was called out about a killing that took place at Land Between the Lakes. So they just thought some family was robbed and they were killed. And then he starts hearing, when he gets there, he sees the bodies. He sees the bodies ripped apart. He said, well, maybe this was a bear attack, something to that effect. But the tracks, he said, were canine. They weren't bear. They were like a large dog track. But the interesting thing about this very, very, very first story is that a little boy was never mentioned. He only mentioned about the mother, the father, and the little girl. He never said anything about a little boy, being there. So we know through other stories that there was a little boy there. But like I said, my very first time ever hearing about the story, there was never a little boy involved. But the little girl was still found in the tree. So I went down to LBL in 1987, met him. He took me to this spot where he said it happened, was going over everything, showed me the tree, where the little girl was. He was explaining that there was about 4 different jurisdictions that were there. But one thing he did say, which I found very interesting, is that there were so many people there and so many different jurisdictions that not everybody got a full story, because he talked to other people afterwards. And one will say, well, I heard this or I heard that. The story is basically the same, but there's a couple little small pieces that were missing because not everybody got to see everything or heard everything. And that's the problem with LBL, okay, is that the story really cannot be verified that it actually happened. Yes, we can talk to individuals who say they were there, and we have to sit there and take their word for it that they were there. But the thing about LBL, the story has really never changed in 30 years. It has never changed. Not one bit has it changed. And when this new individual came and he starts talking about the story, let me make this clear, okay? I don't hate this guy, Roger. I don't dislike this guy, Roger.
And by Roger, you mean the guy that has come out recently?
Right,
okay.
with his claims.
Yeah.
I have nothing personally against this guy, okay? It's just I don't agree with his story, okay? And the reason why I don't agree with the story is that there's just way too many holes in his story, and it was very verifiable to prove that his story didn't add up, and that was the thing. And I think what his issue was, he did not think anybody was going to question the story, because no one did. I'm going to tell you right now, I, as far as I know, I am the only person that publicly came forward to question his story, who publicly came forward, okay? So, and since when I came forward and, I knew about this back in December, okay, when he came to talk to the Cryptid Study Institute, because they came to me and said, we got this story, and they told me about it, and, at first I was really intrigued. I was seriously intrigued. And I'm sitting there thinking, well, maybe it's a possibility that this is a total different attack. This is something totally different, okay? Because the location where he says it took place was not the location that everybody knows about, okay? So, and the more I sit there and think about it, and was going back, going through 30 years of notes, I'm sitting there thinking, man, this guy's story is just not adding up. And I told the Cryptid Study Institute, I said, I would leave this alone. I would leave this alone. He claims that he has contacted me. I don't know the guy. I mean, if he contacted me, he contacted me under a different name than the two names that he's using, because I went back through emails and Messenger and everything, and I can't find any communications with this guy. Now, if he sent it through the main website, there's a possibility it could have got overlooked, but he's claiming 6 times, and granted, we get communications all the time, and sometimes we just don't be able to communicate quick enough, but that particular story I would remember 100%. So, like I said, I just, I would love for the story to be true. I really would, okay, because we do need answers, but his story, like I said, it just doesn't add up. There's so many different things. I mean, he's talking about, this being an Amish family. Every officer that I talked to about this have always said that it was a Christian-based family, either a Mormon or a Christian, because of a Bible that was found. Okay, so like I said, I've heard Mormon, I heard Christian. This is the first time I ever heard Amish. Well, the family's names, okay, that he said are not Amish names. Connie is not an Amish name. That was the name of a little girl. They call her Fanny Girl. Well, the Amish don't use the word Fanny with females because they consider it being vulgar name, because it be in your butt. Okay? They don't give nicknames to their wives. They don't give nicknames to their children. The son was named Stephen. Well, Stephen is from the New Testament. Amish give the names out of the Bible. They very seldom will take a name out of the New Testament. Another thing, he said they sold their land and bought an RV. Well, Amish don't drive, okay? And he would have to get his driver's license, and I mean, seriously, he's going to first time ever driving, he's going to drive a an RV. with a car dragged on it. I mean, I've been driving, all my life, and I wouldn't want to do it as an experienced driver. So that doesn't make sense. So the Amish, I'm in Ohio. Amish are in Ohio. They're in Pennsylvania. They're in, Indiana.
Yeah.
Okay, they're the same people. Now, there's a difference between Amish and Mennonites.
Oh yeah.
Okay, big difference. Now, the Amish, they're community. The property is community property. So if an Amish family leaves the community, the land stays there. It either goes to the closest relative or it goes to the community. Okay, and we got this confirmed straight from the mouth of the Amish. Okay, that this is what happens. Okay, now if he sold the property, and left the community, that could be a crime within the community. Is it something that they could have went to jail for? I don't know. Okay, but Amish don't do that. So that was one of the biggest stories, the biggest pieces that didn't make any sense whatsoever. Then he talks about going to LBL. They're there for less than an hour and the attack takes place. And we talked to the company that made the RV, and we talked to them about what would the temperature of the engine be driving 8 to 10 hours. How long does it take for the engine to warm down or cool down? Because he claims that he was able to climb under the drive shaft and hold on to it for 15 minutes, like hugging onto it. Well, if they were still there and this happened within an hour, it's going to take close to 4 hours, depending on the outside temperature, for that RV to cool down. Okay, so that bar that he held onto, the drive shaft, would have been up to about 200 degrees or more. Well, he would end up having third-degree burns. Okay, holding on to it for 15 minutes. Okay, I mean, they're just like a whole lot of different things. He's talking about the Amish having shotguns. Well, Amish are, in the 1980s, they're different today. Some of them do have guns, shotguns, because they do deal with, wild boar and coyotes attacking their, crops, destroying their crops and their livestock. But back in the 80s, okay, they didn't have guns. They're not violent people. They would never had a firearm, let alone know how to use one. And then he's talking about how they were going, he was going target shooting on the area where they were camping. And in LBL, if anybody's ever been there, when you go to LBL, you have to go and register your vehicle, and they assign you a spot. And if you have a firearm, you have to register your firearm while you're there, because it's a federal property. You will go to jail if you don't. Okay, so it's small stuff, okay, that doesn't make any sense. And then one of the biggest things that, he says he ran after the killing, he runs, okay, and then he turns to the right and he goes out of the main entrance. Well, if he would have went down that road and turned right, if he just would have looked left, the Welcome Center's right there. Okay, why didn't he run to the Welcome Center? That would have been a safe haven for a 15-year-old kid, because there's cars in the parking lot and it was open, because it doesn't close until 8 o'clock.
Well,
okay.
One thing real quick, Jody, some people in the chat room, I wanted to just clarify this. Dorothy Metcalf, who I actually know personally, she lives here in Austin. Dorothy, she says the Amish hunt, they use shotguns. Jody actually did just clarify that a lot of them do use shotguns now. But what he was referring to was back in the 80s, that it wasn't as common, that they did not use firearms. And also, I want to ask you a question, Jody. What if, and I'm playing devil's advocate here, I guess, but what if, he was referring to Mennonites, because Mennonites are completely different.
Are different. And see, that's what I'm sitting there thinking. That's what Mennonites and Amish look alike. Okay. Now the female are the easiest ones to tell the differences because of their clothing are different. Mennonites, their clothing have more of a pattern to it, and is more brighter than a typical Amish, which is black or blue with the white. Okay, and it really depends on the state, to be honest with you. And I'm sitting there thinking, well, maybe this guy was thinking, if the story's true, they were Mennonites and not Amish, because Mennonites are more open to society than the Amish are. And it would have made more sense and more believable if he would have said Mennonites. Okay? But yeah, and I agree with her 100%. They do hunt now, but back in the 1980s, 30 years ago, it was a whole different type of society. I mean, they're more open now than they were 30 years ago, because they basically have no choice.
Yeah.
To open up to what they Englanders here in Ohio. The Amish call us Englanders.
English, yeah. That was another thing I was going to say. I mean, it's weird that our world to them is called the English world. Now, when I was on the phone with your colleague the other night, I had a long talk with Nick. Me and Nick are really good friends. And you guys, he runs the NADP, the number 3 region, I believe.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you guys have a very big organization. You're organized. I'm impressed with your guys, the way you guys do things. What I was going to say, when me and Nick were talking the other night, and we had this long conversation, and we talk about all kinds of stuff, but we were talking about this whole, the Amish and the Mennonite and all that.
Mm-hmm.
The Mennonite are kind of the go-between between the Amish and the English world, because the Amish, they're Dutch, they speak Dutch, and we speak English. So what Jody is referring to, folks, is that they call us the English world. And I told Nick that I had 3 people who actually worked with us when I ran a nightclub down in 6th Street in Austin. They had left for Rumspringa. Now, if anybody knows what Rumspringa is when they give them, when they become teenagers, they give them kind of like a rite of passage. It's like, you have to go through this, and then you decide, do you want to commit yourself to the rest of your life to the church and to the ways of the Amish, or do you want to leave? And of course, in the end, you're going to be damned according to their belief, but do you want to leave and go and be a part of the English world? And so these 3 individuals had decided to not go back to the Amish, and they were shunned. They went on their way. And so we got to know 3 of them. One was a female, 2 males, but one male in particular, he worked for us for several months. And the other one, he moved away and got with some girl, and they stayed living in Austin, but I think she got with some dude, and then I think they moved to like Waco or something. But I know that the one individual that kept working with him, they called him Jamie. His name was Jeremiah, but he went by the English name of Jamie. And Jamie worked for us for quite a bit, and he met a lot of my guys back in the day, and hung out with us and drank with us and partied and stuff. And he gave us a lot of stories about the Amish that people don't really get. Like like they actually there are some bad Amish that actually practice witchcraft.
Oh yeah,
and they do things that are not like. I mean, they're not. That's how they get back at each other doing things. It was weird, some of the things you talked about. But your story, what you're talking about makes sense when you said that when they sell their property, okay? Because like according to the story that I heard from the Cryptid Institute was the show that the guy was on. His name is Tyler or Roger. I'm not for sure which or whatever. He said that they had made a bunch of money. And I think he was saying that it was because they had sold their property, but like you said, the Amish, from what I understand, everything you own, you lose if you leave the Amish community. So I don't know where they would have gotten this money from unless they were Mennonites. Now that would change everything because of their Mennonite,
Right, and here's the thing too. One Amish did say to us that if they if they do something, let's say they go build a barn, okay, for, an Englander, okay, so they'll get the money for that. So money will go to them, and then some of that money goes to the community, okay, so everybody profits off of it, okay, so that's how it is. in the Amish community. Now, and I sit there and I ask, okay, let's say, I asked the one, I said, so let's say I'm Amish, I have a very big farm, and I have livestock and crops, so if I sell it, could I keep some of the money and give the rest of the money to the community? And he said, no, that's not how it works. That's not how we do things. Okay, so that's why I totally, think this whole thing is a farce, because that's not the way Amish does. Okay, so they have $20,000 in cash, okay, in checks. Well, that RV today, if you bought that RV today, you can get it anywhere between $3,000 and $6,000, depending on the condition. So in 1982, that would have been $30,000, okay, to buy that RV in 1982, depending on the model, depending on what luxury you had in there, okay? So that means they would have $50,000 plus money, okay? So think about this. An Amish community, or Amish farm, okay, in 1982 probably would have been, if you, let's say non-Amish, you probably could have got $50,000 for that property and land, okay, in 1982, depending on how well the house is, indoor plumbing, things like that, okay? So for an Amish to get that much, it's just, and not the community not knowing what's going on, it just, they would have stopped them trying to sell that property, okay? So that's the whole thing that bothers me in the fact that, the Amish, a lot of them, they'll drive with people in cars. They don't drive, as far as I know, in any other state. I know in Ohio and Pennsylvania, they don't. But they'll sit in a car with you now and drive. But I mean, him to go get his driver's license, okay, buy, a Capri, and then go and buy this RV and drive it. It just doesn't make sense. And there another thing, what he talks about, okay, where he gets picked up by a farmer, and the farmer takes him to the closest town, which was Hopkinsville. No, it's not. Grand Rivers would have been the closest town that they would have gone to. Okay, so they would have drove away, past Grand Rivers, okay, which had a police department there, where he should have took the kid to, but instead he takes him to Hopkinsville, to his home. So he calls the police. 2 men in suits show up, okay, and take him back to the crime scene. Now, like I said, I was a deputy sheriff. I know a lot of police officers, and I've talked about this. This guy would have been a suspect in a murder, okay? They would not have took him back to the scene of the crime, and they sure to God would not have sent guys in clothes to pick him up. Okay, uniform officers would have came and got him, and they would have took him back to the station, and they would have, grilled him and questioned him. And they would not believe any story about some monster, because he made the mistake by saying that the kills were clean. Okay? Clean like a human kill, not clean like an animal kill. Okay? So that right there didn't make sense. He would have been a suspect. And then he claims that they put him in a room with a telephone, but he doesn't call anybody. Okay? Now, a teenager who had been scared to death of what's happening, the first thing, if he was in a room by himself, there was a phone there, the first thing he would have done was call mom or dad or uncle or whomever to say, hey, this is what's going on, come pick me up. Okay? And then he says that they flew his uncle in at Hopkinsville Airport. Well, it's the only airport there is Hopkinsville Christian Community Airport. It does 0 commercial flights. Executive companies have their executive jets there. People who are flying enthusiasts has their planes there, crop dusters, I think there's a flight school there for the smaller planes, and there's like a diving club or parachute club rather that's there. But they do no commercial whatsoever. So the fact that his uncle would have flown in there and picked him up was another questionable thing, because the airport doesn't do that. Okay, the airport was there in 1952, and if you look it up, and if you call them on the phone and you talk to them like I did, they'll tell you no commercial flights come in there whatsoever. And if a flight would have came in, and I asked him about this, and because he gave the date and everything, and I asked him, could you look up this particular date and see if a flight came in on this particular date and left, coming in where the police were involved? They had nothing. They had nothing. They even looked it up, and so we had nothing coming in that day other than the planes that were going for crop dusting and the planes for the school. They had no other plane that was coming in to that day to drop someone off or pick somebody up. So that's what I'm saying, that was questionable. And I'm not doing my job as an investigator if I'm not questioning, a story. Because here's where people get confused, okay? In order to be in this field, in order to be a ufologist or a cryptozoologist, you have to be 80% skeptic at all times, okay? Because if you're not, every indention in the ground is going to be a Bigfoot print or a Dogman print. Every single scratch on a tree is going to be a Bigfoot or Dogman. Every shadow in a picture is going to be a Bigfoot or a Dogman. You've seen what my point is. You have to be skeptical and you have to question everything. Okay, and the way I look at things, if a cryptozoology court actually existed, with the evidence that I've got, could I go in and persuade a jury? And if I can't, I don't go forward with it. And that's how you have to deal with something like this. And all I'm doing is questioning the guy's story. He's getting upset. Okay, he's crying foul. He's threatening lawsuits. He's not acting like a victim of a massacre or survivor of a massacre. He's acting like a victim that is getting upset because you don't agree with him.
Well, Jody, let me ask you this. Now, on the comments section on my last live stream, it just kind of blew up. We even had to delete some of the comments because it got real negative. Or at least my team did. I didn't. But I read some really bad stuff that was going back and forth in the comments section. And one of the things that was brought up was that he claims, Roger or Tyler claims that he tried to contact you multiple times, many times, and that you have not responded. You've ignored him, and he's tried to call you to the floor in public, and you won't answer the bell. Do you want to talk about that? Is that?
Yeah, exactly. Because here's the thing. I like I said, I looked at all. On my messenger, I have never found a message from him. I've never found a message that came into the North American Dogman Project. I've never found a message that came into the North American Dogman Facebook page or the state of Ohio. Okay, because if he would have came and mentioned this story, it would have caught my eye, and I would have sat there and listened to him. And I still would have been acting towards it today like I'm acting now. I would have questioned it. Okay, but the fact of the matter is that, he never contacted me. And the thing of it is, if he wants to have a discussion, yeah, fine, let's have a discussion on the show. But you're going to see his true colors come out, because he's going to get upset. He's going to get angry because you don't agree with him. He's going to play victim. Okay, but the point of it is, his story doesn't add up. Okay, because I'm going to tell you something. And one thing he said, okay, is that he has never been screwed with. They know that he's a survivor. but he has never been screwed with. Okay, let me tell you something. I have been screwed with. I've had things done to me, okay, by powers that are out there because of this subject. Okay, there's stuff that's been done to me that nobody knows about. Okay, that I'll never talk to anybody about. I have been threatened. Okay, over this stuff. Okay, I've had my car stolen by the DNR, and I've got a Cincinnati cop to back it up. Okay, the state of Ohio erased my registration on both of my vehicles. Okay, to where they don't exist. Okay, and I had to fight to get that back on. Okay, there's some other stuff that has happened to me. So let me tell you something. This, if they're going to screw with you, they're going to screw with you. And if he's a survivor, let me tell you something. His butt would not be standing, or sitting, giving his story out like he's doing. Because let me tell you something. When we did Glenn's story from our documentary, the guy that worked for the state who saw a dog man kill 2 people at LBL. Mm-hmm. As soon as that story was released, they were at my front door.
Wow.
Okay. They wanted everything. They wanted the original SD card from the interview. They wanted all the release forms. Wow. They wanted everything. And let me tell you something. We sent out 35 documentaries, mailed them out. 25 of them with tracking numbers came up missing, and the United States Post Office cannot tell me where they are.
Well, let me ask you this, Jody. About a year, well, no, this was back before COVID. I'd say about a year and a half ago. I think me and you had talked about this, but I'm not 100% if me and you had talked on the phone about it, because we've talked several times, but over the years. But there was a picture that had circulated that a woman from Minnesota had given us, and I think one of your associates had said that you guys had it too. And it had made the rounds, and it was of a dog man looking creature standing over a fence, and there was a head with the mouth wide open, and it looked terrifying, and it was on my computer. And around the same time that I lost that picture, multiple other people, that picture was taken from their computer. Mm-hmm. And
oh yeah,
I couldn't believe it. It was like, I got a call from I don't want to say his name because I don't blame him. He's paranoid, and he's no longer doing these research because of that. And he sent me a message, and he says, did you check your computer? There was a photo that I had sent to a few people that I'd gotten from a woman in Minnesota. It made the rounds, and I think you got it and a bunch of other people. And it was gone. Like, mm-hmm. I don't know how it was one of those, it baffled me. I was just like, how did that happen? Like, next thing you know, there was this weird looking wolf that had almost like what looked like a Photoshop head on it. And that was the Google search. When you looked for that picture, that's what would show up. So they were trying to say that person had taken that wolf's head and put it on this humanoidal looking body. And I was still convinced that wasn't the case, because that head did not match that wolf's body.
No, I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah, and I was just like, there's no way that could. I mean, and it was something that we all had talked about. I had talked about it with Vic and a bunch of other people, and we're like, where's this picture at? And another person who's no longer doing this. He was in he had a group, and he got in some trouble not too long ago, but mm-hmm. we were all in shock, and it was all the Dogman researchers, and it was kind of scary. Like, it kind of freaked me out, and then I did a show called the Wolf. What was it called? The Wolfmen in Texas. What was
mm-hmm.
it, Anthony? About
the
Texas. And then I got threatened like how many times? About half a dozen times after that. Telling me that I need to be quiet. I was treading on, dangerous territory, and that I'm okay as long as I stay out of certain subjects. And yeah, I got messed with pretty hardcore. So I do hear what you're saying. You know, I do. I mean, it's
Let,
you got to be careful what you say.
let me tell you this. I was on my computer one day, and the mouse went off on its own. Okay, 4 windows popped up with a bunch of cryptid writing in it. Okay, and it started to upload my files. Okay, and I have a bunch of different files, but it went directly to all my Dogman stuff. Okay, they didn't touch none of my UFO stuff, didn't touch none of my Bigfoot stuff, nothing of my other crypto stuff. It just went straight, and I'm like, call my wife, and we're like, look at this. I have no control of my computer, and it copied all my files. Okay, and my wife will tell you, okay, I did right before COVID. I did a talk, okay, and the NSA showed up at that talk, and my wife will tell you, they came in, they sat at the back, they're taking notes. I'm wondering, like, who are these people? Because I'm going to tell you something. They were all women there that showed up. I'm not kidding. And my wife's like, oh, well, these girls got daddy issues and stuff. It was funny because it was just all females that showed up for this. And these 2 guys are sitting in the back there, and they have suits, and they're just writing away everything I'm saying. They're, looking at the stuff I'm showing. And afterwards, they came up and, they said, hi, I'm so-and-so with the NSA. They showed me their ID. And I'm like, am I going to jail? And they go, no. We collect data, and we have everything on your website. We have everything on your computer. We find it interesting. And my wife will back me up 100%. The guy from the NSA sat there and said, don't be surprised if you get a phone call one day from the federal government asking for your assistance on the subject. I kid you not. Okay, my wife will back me up on that because she was right there when the guy said it. Okay, so my point, what I'm saying, if this guy was a survivor, okay, he would have been kept someplace else. He would never been allowed to talk. He would have been monitored. And the minute he went on the show talking about it, they would have snatched his butt. Okay? Because I'm telling you, I've been severely screwed with. I've had them come to my home. I have been pulled over by them and talk, and they have talked to me. Some of them were very nice about it, and some of them were downright scary. Okay? So this guy, for him to say he was never screwed with, that's bull. And then I would sit there and think, well, maybe this is disinformation because this guy's story is too good. He knows too much detail. He knows about the controls behind the seat. He's talking about real small, minor detail stuff. Okay? And I'm sitting there listening to this guy's story, and you know what it reminded me of, seriously? Whenever there's a mass shooting or something, you get all the people from the left coming out telling these stories. This happened to me, this happened to me. Don't you believe me? I'm telling the truth. That's the way he sounds, like one of these, crisis actors. And I'm not the only person that picked that up. A couple other people picked that up. The way he's talking, he sounds like a crisis actor. And I was thinking maybe this guy is disinformation about it. Because if you think about it, his story is 360 degrees from what every single researcher has ever researched about this story.
And how long have you been researching it, Jody?
I've been researching since 1987.
Wow.
Okay, that's 30 years plus. Okay, so it's crazy. You take Barton Nutley. He's been doing it. He's been doing it for 20 years plus. Okay, he has never heard anything about this. You take Kumbo. Everybody knows who Kumbo is.
Yeah, Baron Kumbo.
The guy's a freaking NASA rocket scientist, okay? And he's been investigating it for 20 years plus and never heard anything that this guy's talking. Okay, so when you take the handful of researchers that's got 20, 30 years under their belt researching LBL, and you got over 100 years of research experience, and the stories are all basically the same, smallest minor details, okay? And this guy comes along and he tells something completely different, not even in the same location. The family being Amish, he gets picked up by a farmer. The FBI shows up. He's secretly flown out of an airfield that doesn't do that kind of stuff. It's just nothing makes sense. And like I said, I'm not calling the man a liar. Okay, all I'm saying is that his story doesn't add up. And it just doesn't make any sense.
Well, Jody, let me ask you this. There's a guy on the live chat. His name is Levi Metzger, and he says, it says here, unless you live among them for 10 plus years. Okay, he says you absolutely can sell your property back to the Amish community, 100%. Now, he said that. So I guess that part of the story would check out if that's the truth. And then he says here, you can...
Today,
yeah, maybe
you
today,
can.
yeah. And
today you can. No, I'm going to tell you something. I've talked with the Amish in the state of Ohio. I've talked with them in Pennsylvania, and I've talked with them in Indiana, okay, about this, okay? And no, 30 years ago, no, it never happened. Today, it could be done, okay? 30 years ago, no. It just, like you said, okay, give or take that, depending on the community and what they practice. Okay, maybe so. But, everyone I've talked to, my God, they're building a barn right down my road. And I went down there and I talked to 4 of them. Okay, and all 4 of them have sat there and told me the same thing. Okay, today it can happen. I'll question it and I'll stand toe to toe when it comes 30 years ago, because you know what? I'm going to take what these guys are telling me, okay, that 30 years ago, you can't sell your property, okay? Because I asked them that same question. If they have a farm and they want to sell it and give money to the community and keep some for themselves, could they do it? And they said no. Okay? But like you said, the Amish community, they practice different. And that's why I'm thinking, if this guy would have sat there and said that they were Mennonites, I probably could have went along with the story, okay, and probably said, yeah, this guy, maybe so, but I would have questioned it. But see, here's the thing, I'm doing a show with the network on LBL.
Is this for Travel Channel or History Channel or
something like that?
Yeah. Okay.
All right. So they want this guy to be a part of it. Okay. And, I'm like, I've been fighting with them. I'm like, no, because I said, and I told him, I said, you don't understand the hornet's nest that you're going to stir up bringing this on TV. Okay. Because I said, Travel Channel and who's the other one? History Channel was a Destination America. Destination America. Okay, that's what ruined Destination America. Okay, because their stories weren't true, and that's why Destination America no longer does paranormal stuff or cryptid stuff. That's why the Mountain Monsters left Destination America, end up going to Travel Channel, because Travel Channel ruined their reputation over this stuff.
You mean Destination?
No, Destination America.
Yeah, they ruined. You're saying that they ruined their reputation?
Yeah, they ruined their reputation because their ghost stuff, their paranormal stuff, their cryptid stuff, no one bought into it. There were some they had one show on there that was absolutely 100% fake, one of their paranormal shows. It was all made up stuff. It was all scripted, and people caught on to it.
I'm sorry.
No, it's what I'm going to say.
Go ahead.
No, so I'm saying the networks, they need to be careful with this. And, regardless that, see, the network was saying, okay, you two guys are fighting and it's got to stop. Okay. And they did. They said it has to stop because we're going to verify the stories. Okay. And this is exactly what I told him. I said, you know what? Good luck. Good luck trying to verify LBL actually happened because you're not going to be able to. It doesn't matter that you have people coming forward saying I'm a survivor, or I can say, I talked to 6 different police officers who were there who stated what happened. I have to take that on face value, but I can't prove that they were there. I can only take the word. Okay, there is nothing to back to that you're going to find that LBL that incident actually happened. Okay, but here's the thing. What the can of worms that opened up now is that, okay, here's a killing that took place. He's a sole survivor. He has never been interviewed by law enforcement. He accused law enforcement and the FBI of covering up. He accused the federal government of burying the bodies on federal land. Yeah. Okay? And I told the network this. I said, once that gets out into the air and gets on TV, you can better count on someone from the FBI or someone from the Justice Department is going to ask questions about why were a family that was killed buried on federal property. Okay, and then it's all going to come back onto this guy because now they're going to want to talk to him. And if the FBI talks to him, and if they think he's lying, or if he lied to the FBI, his butt's going to jail, regardless if the story was made up or not. Okay.
Jody, do you believe that this individual, and I'm reserving judgment on the guy. I don't know the guy, but you are a lot more knowledgeable about this than I am, and I've never really researched the LBL like too much. It's always been kind of, someone else's domain, not really my area. I'm from Texas, so but I respect your opinion on it. And let's just cut down to brass tacks here. Do you think that this was monetarily motivated for him to come forward to give this story? I mean, do you, in your opinion, believe that it was motivated by him to have monetary gain from it?
No. Honestly, I don't, because the network didn't directly go to him. They went to the Crypto Study Institute, okay, to get in contact with him. Okay, they knew about the story because I mentioned it to them when we were doing preparation and talks. I said, this new story came up, it's still questionable. And they was like, okay. And they totally forgot about it. Okay. And then they end up, the guy that's producing the show actually was doing dogman research and ran across that show. And he goes, oh my God, and it's just like, I basically told them, listen, if this guy is going to be on the show, okay, I'm not doing it. Okay, I know Bart Nutley's not going to do it, and Jan Thompson's not going to do it.
And for those of you who don't know who Bart Nutley is, he's a great author. He wrote the Inhumanoids book. I love that book.
And he's one of the he did a documentary called Dogman that deals with the LBL massacre and the Spotsville monster. If you I think you can find it on Amazon. It's a really, really good documentary if you can find it. And Jan Thompson was actually the one that broke the story, and it came public. Whenever you talk about LBL, it all comes back to her because she was the one that knew the 2 police officers that were the first 2 police officers on the scene. They were the ones that told her the story the night that it happened at the convenience store she worked at. Okay, So she was the one that came forward with the story. And that's why everybody got involved with it, because that's why everybody knows who Jan Thompson is. And he basically called Jan Thompson a liar, saying she heard about it and made the story up. Okay? So, it's nuts. But I think, I honestly, to God, I don't know what this guy's motive is, other than to create havoc. And you have to understand, what's he doing? He's causing inner fighting between individuals in the community. I mean, because once I made a comment on the Crypto Study Institute's website or YouTube page that this guy's story is not legit, and we looked into it, and we found it's not. The North American Dogman Project has become an evil entity now. People are hating us because we actually did what our organization does, and that's investigate, the Dogman phenomenon and Dogman stories. And now we're the bad guys because we don't believe this guy's story. I'm sitting there racking my head reading these comments on how many people just bought into this guy's story.
Yeah.
And felt so sorry for him. Oh my God. I was just like, are you that stupid that you're not even going to question it?
Well,
and I hate,
you
and
gotta
I hate,
ask that question. Better, Jody.
I don't mean to call anybody stupid.
I know what you're saying, though. You got to realize too. People are buying into government agents and talking werewolves and dogman and hunting vampires. Come on, dude. People are.
But Vic Condon. I know Vic Condon, and I investigated some of his stories and some of his guests and found out that they're lying. Okay, Vic kind of got upset with me, but we're still friends because he knows I did what I'm trained to do. Okay, and he respects that. He didn't like it to happen, but I done it. He had one really good case on there, really good case. Guy was saying he was government agency and all this other stuff, and he was dumb enough to tell where he lived. And we found out where he lived, and you know what? I went to the guy, we went to his house to question him, and he wasn't there. And then, his neighbors are moving because they said this guy's a nut. He's under investigation with the ATF for making illegal guns. It's just like, this guy, it's crazy. The CIA was even looking into him because he was claiming to be a CIA agent. It was nuts. But this is what we do, but we didn't get any flack over that, but my God, we're questioning the guy, who says he was a survivor. Seriously, I want people to seriously think about this. Here's a guy, okay, who's the only survivor of a massacre, okay? He states that the father shot the animal, and in the process, he shot his son. Okay, so he's witness to a gunshot wound on a child.
Which at the very least would be manslaughter.
Which would be manslaughter.
Yeah.
Okay, and then he talks about a clean kill. Okay, so if the police show up and they see cuts and stuff on the body and the body's not ripped apart, okay, they're going to sit there and think, well, somebody had a knife and cut these bodies off. We have a 15-year-old kid here who's the only survivor that knew that they had $20,000, in that van, and the family's dead. The kid's got a gunshot wound. Okay, there's 2 shotguns laying there. One of them's got his fingerprints on it. Okay, and nobody is going to question him. The police are not going to question. Think about it.
Yeah.
That's freaking common sense. And the point of it is, he didn't think that anybody was going to question his story. That's what it all comes down to.
Yeah, somebody
And
just said in the comments, they said, "Oh, now you're calling people stupid." No, Tammy, the thing is, and I know Jody. I know Jody's very passionate about what he does. He's a very good friend of mine. But Tammy, I don't think he's calling people stupid in general. He's just saying the gullibility, because people want to believe in something, and they want to believe. But I have to go through, and Jody, you know this. We've talked about this, and I've talked about this with your colleagues, with Nick. I have to go through story after story after story after story to not only get a story that's worthy of going on a show, but then also it has to be something that's not complete BS. And that's hard, because if I wanted to, I could take all the sensational stories and just go into a show and tell you all the crazy sensational ones, and it could just be somebody completely out of their mind, because I've met some people like that, and then you are going to get their BS. I mean, you have to be willing to know that there are some people out there who will buy into anything, and but you have to and you're trying to protect them as best as you can. And I know that's what you're doing, and I know that's what I'm doing when I try to keep people from, and I get attacked. I have a guy who's been attacking me since I was on Dogman Encounters back in 2015. He's been going off on me, still cyber stalking me because I didn't tell his story, because I didn't believe it. And I have reasons to not believe it. And he threatened me, threatened Vic Cundiff. He threatened a bunch of people, threatens another one of my colleagues, and was trying to get him to tell the story, and he wouldn't do it. So he, and so you get these people who come up with some crazy stuff, and sometimes people can tell some really good stories. I mean, believe me, dude. I mean, I had a guy send me a story not too long ago, and the guy sent me this story, and he at the end of the story, after he had sent me this amazing epic, whatever, then he tells me, he's like, "I'm a fiction writer, and this is how easy it is for me to make up a story." And I was all like, "Okay, dude, but I never responded to you, nor did I say I was going to use your story. So yeah, you can make up whatever you want. It never hit the airwaves, not from me, But he told me, he goes, "I have another guy who's got a huge podcast, and I have him, he's going to tell that story." And I'm like, "So you're basically telling me this is a big bunch of crap, and you've already got someone else that's willing to put that story out there." That's the kind of stuff that we're trying to avoid when somebody comes on and says, "Hey, I got all the answers, and I did this, and I did this, and I did that." We need people, okay, to do what you're doing and actually vet this guy. And I'm not attacking this guy because I don't know this guy from Adam and Tyler, Roger, whatever, if you're out there. I'm not against you. I'm not attacking you. All I'm trying to do is give Jody his chance to say what he has to say, because, folks, Jody and his organization have been under fire and under attack for pointing out what they believe to be obvious holes in this guy's story. And I think it's unfair that you guys have had to deal with so much criticism and so much hate and anger because some guy that nobody knows comes out of nowhere. Okay. And Roger, if you're listening, you have to understand that, you come out of left field and you kind of upset the apple cart by saying, "Okay, I was there. Everything is wrong. I witnessed it," but yet you're the only human being that can verify that. No other human being on earth can verify what you said. So when Jody and his organization come back and say, "Look, there's some holes here," we have to have gatekeepers. You have to have people that will question the validity of this. You have to have people with common sense that will step in and go, "Okay, wait a minute. This isn't necessarily, we can't just buy into something hook, line, and sinker, because if we do that, then you're going to have people writing for real fan fiction for days and just sending it to people like me, trying to con me into putting it on the air." And so you have to have people who are willing to vet these people out, spend time talking to these people before a show, before somebody comes onto my show, before a story goes onto my show. I have three interviews with this person. I correspond with them at least 3 different times. And if the story continues to grow or changes or it goes backwards, then we start, and I have a team. I have several people that work with me, and they read the stories and they look at the stories and they're going like, "Okay, there's a discrepancy here." And I'm not, I'm completely fallible too. I mean, I'm a human being. I'm a man, just a man. I'm not a god.
and they'll tell me, "Did you notice that?" And I'm like, "Oh, I didn't." Okay, so maybe we should rethink this. Maybe we shouldn't put this person on, and it might hurt some feelings and it might anger some people. But the bottom line is, we have to do our due diligence. And Jody, I really believe that that's what you're doing. You're trying to do, you know. I mean,
I am, and for your listener to understand, I'm not calling her or calling anybody stupid. I'm talking
no. I know you were. That's why I was clarifying that you're not that kind of person.
But dude, come tomorrow morning, it's going to be on Facebook.
Well, yeah.
I said, I mean, that's how it is.
The controversy started last 2 weeks ago when they, when it was on the comments section, 118 comments on that one thread, and we were deleting because there was all this cussing and fighting, and everybody was going crazy.
But see, this is what I honestly, and this is my personal opinion. I think this is what his motive is. Mm-hmm. His motive is to divide the community and cause fighting. I mean, but think about this. How would what happens if we believe this guy and take this guy for what it is, okay, and people like me who don't believe the story, I'm like, shaking my head. Who's to say that somebody's going to come forward and say, you know what? I got to be honest with you. I was the one wearing a werewolf costume on Bray Road. And here's the costume that I wore. I thought it was funny because the first sighting was on Halloween night, so I thought, hey, that was cool, so I'm going to go ahead and do this. And then, this really nice lady wrote an article about it named Linda Goffrey. And, I was like, wow, this is cool. I'm famous now. And I ran with it. Okay. I mean, his story is no different from that. Okay, no different from that. It's like this. Okay, the Gable film. Remember the Gable film?
Oh yeah. Absolutely.
And I mean, I'm going to tell you something. You can laugh at me all you want. I think the Gable film is 100% legit because it has been proven the way that animal is moving, a human being cannot move like that. Even when Monster Quest did the show, and the expert analyst who looked at that video even said,
he did. Yeah, you're right.
He said a human cannot miss that. And I think this guy was working with possibly Steve Cook, or this guy's working was able to get a hold of that video, and I think he cut and pasted and he come up and say, oh, it's fake to get notoriety. Okay, because it just doesn't make none of his stuff makes any sense. And then he comes out after it came out, and then he comes out with a second one showing how he made the fake body.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I mean, it just doesn't make any sense. He's up there, he's in a ghillie suit. I got color pictures of that for him in his ghillie suit. I got the video of him moving in that ghillie suit, and even if you put that image in black and white, and you kind of scramble it a little bit to give it that 16 millimeter look, it still looks like a ghillie suit with a man wearing it. Okay, but the point of it is, this is the same thing. These are the small little things that they're so controversy. But if you think about it, they got a little bit of questions about it. People, oh, I don't believe it. But it never got to the point that it is with this story with the LBL, because with this story is that you had a family that was massacred. Okay, children died, and people took this story of LBL to heart because they looked at it as, as a parent that, had a child, there's a child that was killed. Oh my God, every child, we're every child's parents. I mean, you see what I'm saying? We felt that, and that's what made this story so impact on people's lives. And then someone just comes around and just, I don't know. I mean, I think his motive, honestly, I think his motive is just to create heartache and division in the community. And I'm telling you something, it's happening. There are people fighting over this. There's friends fighting over this. Okay. Now, I mean, our organization, I'm not saying we were the most loved, but we were highly respected. We were, liked, and now we're the villain. And that's why I put that video out. Say, look, I don't care if you don't like us. I don't care. I'm doing my job as an investigator, and I'm investigating this, and I find flaws, and I'm bringing it to you. You can believe me or not. You can believe him or not. I don't care. Okay, but it would be a I'm trying to think of the right word. It wouldn't be right for my organization not to question it.
Yeah.
It would not be. And
because you kind of a de facto watchdog organization at this point. I mean, honestly, and like with your documentary, I believe in what you were doing with your documentary. I mean, I donated to it. I want to see the truth come out. I want to see something, I want because ever since I had my encounter, I've been looking for that answer, to this, and my encounter happened on Halloween night. And I know dang well it wasn't a guy in a suit, and of course Nick, your colleague, he had an encounter, and I've talked to hundreds of people who've had encounters, and to me, one of the things me and Nick talked about when he came on my show, and of course Jody, eventually you're going to come on my show, and we're going to talk not just this compartmentalized subject. We're going to talk about a broad range of stuff because I got a lot of stuff to talk to you about, folks. When Jody comes on, we're going to chop it up. Believe me. Because Jody's written books and Jody's done a ton of research on different subjects. Okay. But that being said, we talked about this, and Nick said there are so many people, okay, who are just lazy, and they'd rather just, grab onto somebody who's making stuff up and throw them out there into circulation rather than doing the research and taking in people's stories and going, okay, this guy said this guy, and there's no lack of information out there. There's no lack of cases out there. There's no lack of stories out there about every single possible subject you can think of. You could come up with 100 stories. I could go and do shows and from now until 3030, and I'd still be doing shows with the information I have now, because there's so many cases out there of so many sightings of so many different types of things. You don't need to make something up. You don't need to have someone to make something up and put them out there, because if you're just not lazy and people can do what your organization is doing and fielding hundreds of reports, you get hundreds and hundreds of reports. I mean, the information's out there. All you got to do is just go after it, be thirsty and go after it. But people don't want to do that. They'd rather just go through some sensationalized bull crap and make us all look like idiots.
The thing, I didn't mean to cut you off there.
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
No, that's what I'm saying. I mean, you have to look at the field itself. Okay. Dogman is the new cryptid. I mean, everybody loves it. This is probably the most feared cryptid, more than Bigfoot or the Mothman, things like this. And everybody knows that. The networks all know this. I mean, I think I told you this. We were going to do a series with A&E, okay? And we filmed a few episodes with A&E. And we got some really good stuff on tape. We got some really good audio on tape. And when it went back to the head people at A&E, and they watched the episodes, back to back, it scared the hell out of them. I mean, it literally scared them. And they said we cannot put this on air. They said somebody, and I'm not kidding you, they said somebody will have a heart attack. And I'm like, dude, that's the whole point. I said, people want to get scared. They don't want to be entertained. You want to have a show out there where you've got some, 300-pound construction worker watching a show on Dogman. His wife tells him to take the trash out. He grabs the trash. He opens the back door, turns the light on, looks left, looks right, runs down the steps, put the trash in, and runs back in because the show scared him because he knows that thing could be out in his backyard.
Yeah.
And networks, they don't get that. And that's, I mean, the thing of it is, if anybody, not just North American Dogman Project, but if anybody was able to do a show on Dogman, there's enough stuff out there to get, 5 seasons. I mean, and that goes back to the point what you're saying. There's just so much stuff out there. But the point of it is, getting people to believe it.
And that's another thing too. Like, okay, a good friend of mine, and a lot of people might probably know who I'm talking about. He's a producer at Travel Channel, and he makes certain shows. These Woods Are Haunted. He's come to me, and they've used several of my witnesses.
Yeah, he's came to me. Came to me. Yeah, and I gave him stuff.
Yeah, he's a good guy, and so we and then they picked up one of our episodes, and we worked out with them, and they said okay, yeah, and so I'm going to be on that show because we recorded it last summer. I don't know when it's going to air, but I felt so stiff being in front of that camera. I'm like, I got a face for radio, man, for the TV. But I had a lot of people that I'd sent them, witnesses and stuff that I'd interviewed, and I thought were pretty, vetted pretty heavily, and I gave them to them, over the last year or two, and I look at those shows, and the whole idea is to entertain. It is to entertain, but it seems like to me, in the coming days, we're going to see what's going to happen with this certain situation. I mean, like, if it turns into a money-making thing, then people are automatically going to accuse the guy of saying, okay, well, that's why he did it, because he wants to make money at it. Even though it may not be the case, it may be he just wanted to come out and say what he had to say. But that's what people are going to think, because when you profit off of something, people are going to automatically assume that's why you do it. Like this here, my wife calls this my jobby. And I'll tell you what that means. 2 years ago when I started this, I spent a bunch of money trying to get it started, and there was no money to be made in this. It was just a year of me spending money trying to build this show. Last year, we made some money at it, but then we still spent a couple grand over what we made. And now this year, we're actually turning a small profit. And I never meant for this to be a business. I have a very thriving business, but this was sort of just like a hobby. And now it's turned into kind of a job hobby. And my wife calls it my jobby. So that's her little name for it. But like today I said, hey, I'm going to go and I'm going to try and call Jody and see if I can get a hold of him and do and folks, this isn't scripted here. Me and Jody, I just was like talking to him the other day, and then I'm like, I just called him and we started talking, and me and Jody are friends, and so, it's kind of off the cuff, we just decided to talk about this, but I had mentioned it to you, a while back, but I really, this has not been a lucrative money-making venture. Now, if I was blowing up and making a ton of money at it, then everybody's going to say, oh, well, that's why he did it. He did it because he wanted to make a bunch of money, and they're going to accuse you of the same thing, even though I know that you've put way more money into that documentary than you'll probably get back out. And I didn't, donate money to try to, as an investment. It was not an investment. I mean, it's not something I did to, because you're my friend and I believed in what you were doing, and I want to see a good documentary be made about that subject, and so that's why I was interested in helping. And plus, I believe you're a man of integrity. And I'll say this, and I'll go out on a limb here, and this whole episode's going to probably be controversial, but I'm not adverse to controversy. I've been in the middle of it my whole life, but I can say this: knowing you, Jody, okay, knowing you, and I know where you're coming from. You've never been dishonest with me. You've always been straight with me. You've always been direct. You didn't mix words, and you've never downed me or attacked me. You reserved your judgment for me when people would say things about me. And I know that because I know people who've talked to you and you said, look, I don't really know the guy that well. I got to get to know him better. And I appreciate you giving me that benefit of the doubt, and when other people, there's just like, who's this guy, but knowing who you are and knowing how you conduct yourself, I do agree that you are doing the right thing. And I don't really believe that you're attacking this guy. It's just the way that you're coming at the situation. You're very passionate about what you do, and that can be easily misconstrued as like you being mean or self-centered, and you're attacking him like he's stepping on your toes. But when folks, let me tell you something. When somebody has done research since 1987, okay, that's a long time. Okay, you're talking like what? 30 something years, 34 years, and you put all that time and effort and energy into doing the research for that, that's a long time. In 1987, I was playing with G.I. Joes and Transformers, dude. I mean, I was a little kid, you were like already, and you're ex-military, you were, and so it's one of those things where, I know you to be a man of integrity. You've never BS'd me. When we've had conversations, you've told me exactly how you feel about certain people in the field too. You told me, okay, I like him, I like her, I don't like him, I don't like that, and you didn't mix words with me, and you didn't care whether I went back and said something because you didn't give a crap. It's like where you stand. You're very much like me. It's like with me and with Jody, folks, you're going to know where you stand. You may not like us. You may not like it. Mm-hmm. You may think we're jerks, but you're going to know where we stand, and we're not going to back down on our positions.
Right. Let me say this. Ken Gerhart is one of my oldest best friends. Mm-hmm. Okay? I will do anything for Ken Gerhart. Ken Gerhart would do anything for me. Okay? Ken Gerhart would tell you. We spoke together at a conference, and I kind of corrected him, okay, and kind of made him look little on stage, okay. I didn't mean to do it personally. But I was just correcting something, okay. But at the time, I didn't think that, I disrespected him, and he kind of like was looking at me like, you were, but we're friends. But like Ken said, this is how you are, mm-hmm. and I respect you because this is how you are. Because you are passionate about what you do, and you enjoy what you're doing. And like I said, we laugh about it all the time. I even have the picture. It is so beautiful because I'm standing there with my finger out. And Ken, I'll send you this picture and look at the Ken Gerhart's face. And it's just, it's priceless. But Ken knows it was not something I did, and this was probably 10 years ago. But Ken knows that it was not something I did just to belittle him in front of everybody. But the thing of it is, I take it too far. Sometimes I admit I do. Okay, but I love this field so much that that's just how I am. I'm not trying to be, an idiot about it. It's just I love the field. I respect the field. People just have to understand. If I say something, I'm not disrespecting you. If I'm going to disrespect you, I'm going to go directly to you and say something. Mm-hmm. Okay, but it's just I'm human. I can't say the words the right way. I can't, get it out the way I want, so I get it out the best way I can. Okay? So, I've never made a penny off of this. Okay? Every TV show I've been on, I've never been paid for doing it. Okay? I did a conference one time where I paid for my own self going all the way down to Virginia. And it was for a fundraiser for a woman that had cancer. And I was paid $130 to do it. And I gave her the money because she needed it more than I did. I was the only person that spoke to her that did that. Okay. I'm not in this for the money. I'm not in this for the notoriety, because trust me, I had my 15 minutes of fame. Okay. And this is just a passion. You know, I love it so much that I get upset about it, because like I just filmed for a TV show. Okay. And this is why I don't like networks. I had hair sample that they tested at a lab. It came back as an unknown species of canine. It did not match up to any DNA of any canine on record. The hairs are about 6-7 inches long. They said the hair was extremely coarse. They actually found in one of the tests that they did, they found primate DNA. So either, you know, a Bigfoot hair probably got in there, or this thing has some type of primate DNA. So it literally blew the lab up that, you know, here we have hair of an unknown species of canine, and the hair is not normal. Okay. So they sent it to another lab. Another lab came back and said, oh, it's nothing. We can't find anything. Okay. So the network's going to go with, well, we didn't find nothing in the DNA, instead of going with the number one lab in the country that does DNA was the one that came up and found all this stuff. So they sent it to a little bitty place to have it done, just to see what they would find. And they, of course, they didn't find anything, because they didn't have the proper equipment to do what the bigger DNA place did. So they're like, they're going to go and go with the lesser, instead of putting out factual information on the hair.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so this is what we have to deal with in the community.
You know, there's a lot of different comments being made right now. People saying that you're not correct, that you haven't made a dime. Let me tell you something, folks. And I know Ken Gerhardt very well. He's a very good friend of mine. He lives 90 miles down the road. Eat dinner with him. He's a good guy. We've talked quite a bit. I can tell you this: Ken, Jody, all these different people, they're not making a bunch of money off of this, folks. When they do turn a profit, it's very little, and most of what we make, it just goes right back into what we're doing.
The only thing of money I made, I get royalties from my books
on Amazon, right?
On Amazon, and I can show you exactly how much I get, and it ain't a lot.
It ain't a lot. I know me and Linda were talking about that the other day too.
Yeah, it ain't a lot. Okay, I'm lucky if I get $20 a month royalties. I mean that's good. I mean I can back it up by showing you $5 a month in royalties. Okay, so whoever this person sits there and says that I'm lying, I made money, please show me what I made money off of. Please show me, because let me tell you something. Every TV show I've been on, I didn't make any money. Okay, now this last one I just did, they gave me gas money. Okay, all right, that's it. They gave me gas money. Okay. You know, I didn't even want that, because it wasn't that far to drive. But the guy pulled it out of his pocket and said, look, here, take it. You know, you waste gas. Gas is expensive. Just take it. You know, but no, I want that person to show me. Please send me a message on Facebook, on Messenger, and show me the money I made off of what you're saying. Correct me.
Well, because this person,
correct me.
This mysterious noob life, I'm answering this person. He said he made no money off of this. Well, you make very little. It might as well be no money. But I mean, because the point that Jody's trying to make, folks, and I can vouch for this, is that we put way more time, energy, effort, and money into this than we get out of it. Okay. And I know a lot of authors and a lot of podcasters. I know guys who have big shows and people that write tons of books and do all kinds of
Mhm.
stuff. And you're not, I mean, for what the work you put into it, okay, I'm not making a lot. None of us really are making a lot at this. We're doing it because we're passionate about it. You can call out the people who are not. You can tell who they
Mhm.
are, because as soon as you deal with them, they're talking about merchandising and this and that. And the first conversation you have with them, and you're going like, wait a minute, whoa, dude, you know, you're already talking about trying to do this and trying to do that. I mean, the first order of business is to get down to what we're, you know, to get down to the subject at hand. And there's people out there who, you know, first conversation I ever had with you, Jody, we had nothing to do with money or anything. It was just about the subject at hand, about the business at hand,
Mhm.
you know, and where you stand and where your organization stands. And I respected that. I thought that, you know what, I can respect this guy. And you were very, very upfront and honest with me about it. And sometimes people, somebody asked a question earlier. They said, I've changed since I was on Dogman Encounters. What changes people is the BS that you have to go through. That's what changes
Mhm.
you, you know, and then you're trying to be nice and be friends with people, and they're not upfront, they're not honest. You have only a handful of people that you can really trust, and then everybody else is kind of on the outskirts, and you can't really like let them in because you don't know what their motives are or how they're
Right.
gonna, you know.
But you have to look at this too.
But Ken
Okay.
vouched
I
for you a
mean,
long time ago for me, Jody.
right.
You know.
And that's why. And the thing of it is, people today, we're divided.
Mhm.
We're divided people, and just the smallest things makes like this guy saying, "Oh, you know, he made money off of it." Okay, I mean, did he really need to say that comment? No, he
Yeah.
didn't need to say it, but he said it, and he had a reason for saying it. Okay, that's the whole point. You know, does he have a problem with me, or you know, did he say it just to make a snarly comment? Okay, does he approve? I mean, but I mean, you see now my reaction towards him. Okay, see how unnecessary that got. Okay, and this is how this whole situation with Roger started. Okay,
Mhm.
you know, people. I don't think people care less that he's telling the truth or not. They more care about the controversy at hand that is starting over this because now they're a part of it. You know, you're a tough guy when you're behind the computer.
Mhm.
You know, typing something or away. You know, but the point of it is this is the environment we live in. It was 5 years ago, man. It was never like this. You know that for a fact. It's never been like this. It's just people are getting angry with each other over nothing there because we're sitting at home because of the coronavirus. We have nothing else to do. We're not out socializing,
Yeah.
you know, and that's the biggest part of it. I became, you know, a whole different person within the last year, attitude wise, you know, because I'm sitting at home. You know, I can't go out and see my grandchildren. I can't go out and spend, you know, with I mean, I've got a grandchild, you know, that has, you know, lung issues. You know, I can't go and see him, you know, like I want to because of this whole corona stuff. And I get snarly about it. But this is the environment we live in. And I, you know, the thing of it is, look, you know, people have the right, and I respect people's right to their opinion, regardless if it's disrespectful or not. You know, because, you know, what kind of place we would be in if you don't question things, you know, and I don't know. It's just it gets crazy anymore.
Yeah, and you know what? You don't have to defend yourself because, folks, I know Jody, okay, and I'm telling you right now, I've been knowing this guy for a while, and if I thought he was a mean bad guy, you know, when you made the video the other day on Facebook, I watched it, and I watched it with my wife, and I felt bad. I felt bad for you because you felt like you had to come on there and defend yourself. You had to defend. It aggravated me because you had to defend yourself for actually trying to protect people and actually trying to get to the truth. You know, saying,
Mm-hmm.
hey, slow down. We don't just jump on this because we don't know. And there's a lot of holes in the story. You know, I'm not saying that he's right or wrong. And I'd be willing to have him come on and let him talk and tell his truth too. And I'm going to ask some hard questions. And, but the thing is, you gotta look at the situation for what it is. And you and Nick, you kind of were gatekeepers on that. You were like, look, man, this guy's got some holes in his story, and there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with asking people to give you more information and to let the truth be told. And everybody jumped on you guys and attacked you because they wanted so bad to believe what this guy was saying. But and I'm not saying that he's right or wrong. I'm still not saying that he's right or wrong because we don't know. But I don't think you did the wrong thing. And from what I saw, I didn't hear you cussing and talking and threatening him and all this stuff. I got people telling me that y'all were threatening him, that y'all were cussing, and all I saw was the opposite. I really did. I saw people down on the NADP. I saw them going after you and Nick and saying that y'all were a-holes. All this bad stuff that was being said, and people were asking me left and right what was going on. I'm laying on the floor from a kidney stone. I was like literally in the hospital. I was standing there in the emergency room in the worst pain I've ever had in my life, and I was vomiting from the pain. And I was still laying there in the hospital room, and I was trying to answer people left and right about this because of all that controversy that blew up on my show. But I was just like, all I did left and right was say, look, all I can vouch for is that Jody has always, somebody just put it on there, Jody is 100% on the level. You lunatic friends, you just said it. I couldn't say it better than that. All I could tell people was Jody and Nick are on the level. I've always been shot straight with them. Ken told me that one thing about you is that you will always know where you stand. And I respect that. Ken and you are two totally different people, but you're both very good friends of mine. And I respect you both, but you've both said the same thing about one another. So that tells me right there, I know who I'm dealing with. And sadly, I don't know this other guy. I cannot vouch for him. I don't know. And if you're out there, Roger, I don't know if you're a bad guy, a good guy, or something in between. I have no idea. I just know that I know this guy. I know Jody, and I don't think you were trying to destroy him or to defame him. I think you were just trying to say, like, look, we need to know the truth before we just throw ourselves into this, and then the whole the whole enchilada, we all look stupid because then later on this guy says, yeah, I played y'all. Who knows? You don't know. I mean, you don't know what's going to happen. It could all come out that this guy was just messing with us, because what happened when this guy wrote me that long, crazy detailed stories about Bigfoot and Dogman, they were doing all this stuff on his property. And then he goes, I just made all that up. Do you not see how easy that was? And of course I didn't buy into it. Thank goodness. But the point was, he made his point. Like, you can do that. And then we throw it out there, and then we have egg on our face, and we all look stupid because we just jumped right on it. That's why we have people like you who gatekeeping saying, hey, we shouldn't just throw everything out there and say this guy is the next, big thing, because we don't know. I mean, and we need to be able to discern and pick apart and figure out what, if there's holes in the story, they need to be brought to light.
Here's my thing. Okay. I don't want people getting angry and nasty with him. Okay. All I want is for people to sit there and question it. Okay. Here's my other point. Okay. When it comes to Roger, what I don't want to see happen to Roger is, if this story is not true and he made it up, for him to really get in some serious trouble. Okay. Because I truly believe it's going to go there. Now, I never threatened him, never bodily threatened him, never threatened him. He has threatened me. He has threatened to sue me. He is threatened, and that's fine. Okay. He can do that. But the one thing he don't realize, no court's probably going to touch it because it's dealing with a story about monster killing somebody. Yeah. He has to prove his story in court. I don't. Okay, he's the one that has to prove it. But the thing of it is, it's going to bite him in the butt, because right now, there are two police officers looking into this. Okay, hardcore police officers who heard this story that, And I didn't go to them. Roger says, like, you know, I went to the police and the FBI. I didn't do that. Dude, they came to me. Okay? And they want the FBI to find out this guy's story. They want the police departments that were involved in this to look into it, because me and Roger and, you know, DA, who are all former law enforcement.
You mean DA Roberts, right?
Yeah, DA Roberts, yeah. We all looked at this as a law enforcement would look at it. You know, a kid was shot with a shotgun. They were, you know, clean kills, and this guy was never questioned by the police. Okay, this is how we looked at it. Okay, and now these two law enforcement officers are looking at it that way too. Okay, and they didn't like the fact that, you know, police covered a crime up, you know, because police are on the edge right now with everything that's going on, and the fact that, you know, the police covered up a family, being killed and buried on government property. Mm-hmm. Okay, and I fear that this is going to bite him in the butt.
Very possible.
If this story is not real. Okay, that is the thing that Roger needs to look at. Is it worth it? Is it worth the possibility that the FBI knocking on your front door and questioning you about this? You know, because he basically said, you know, the government covered it up. The FBI's the government, and buried on. I mean, if that gets out to someone, and seriously think about this, if this actually gets out to someone in the Department of Justice, hey, there was a family buried on government property that was covered up, and you don't think they, you know, may not want to look into that? Because, you know, they look into some of the most stupidest stuff anyhow. But you see what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. But the point is that this thing is, I'm telling you, it's going to go into a really bad direction for Roger. Okay, and it doesn't need to be that. Okay, if this story is fake, Roger does not have to come out and say it's fake. Roger should need to just go away and let it die. Okay, that is the best thing to happen. Okay, but in my honest opinion, he's not. He's dead set on this. He doesn't like the ideal. People are questioning it. He likes the ideal. People are buying it. And I truly believe in the long run, it's going to bite him. Because I'm not worried about being sued. I am not worried, you know, about you know, going to court, because you know what, he has to prove his story being real, and you know, all I have to do is sit there and prove in court that I didn't believe his story and I questioned it. Yeah, calling someone a liar or a hoaxer, yeah, is it slander? Yeah, but will it make it to court? No, because once the court sees what the story's about, no judge in his right mind is going to let that walk into a courtroom.
Well,
okay,
and that also, that it's, you know, here's another thing that I found out. Now, I don't know, you can tell me if this is true. The picture of the creature that was put on my webpage, on mm-hmm. my we talked about this. It was a picture that was supposedly, it looks like a devil monkey to me, like something right. I've talked about before with Ryan Tremblay. Me and Ryan have talked about it. It was posted on the PRT, on the Paranormal Round Table group page. If anybody wants to see it, it's on there. And it looks like I don't know, it's weird. It's almost like a primate mixed with like a canine and a cat. I don't know what it is, but it was supposedly the creature that was. And now the person that drew that picture, you want to talk about that?
Yeah, the guy who drew the picture is named Roger, mm-hmm. and it was on DeviantArt. I think I pronounced it right. And what it is, it's a page where people who show their art and sell their art, regardless of if it's, a drawing or a painting or something for cosplay or something to that effect. I can give you a perfect example who they are. Remember that really beautiful werewolf mask that was being all over Facebook for like $50?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Didn't you order one of those? And it came?
Yes. I did. I got
Jody, you got to tell people. Okay, let me tell that real quick. Jody ordered one of those, and when he got it, the eyes were like cockeyed. Like
this thing looked like. I mean, he looked like he was.
It was
drunk.
horrible. It's like, Jody, look at this.
It was a rubber mask.
Yeah.
I mean,
right. Yeah,
but the girl who made that has a page on DeviantArt.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and she's suing the company, the Chinese company, for using her mask, because she made she made like a bunch of different ones that they're selling, saying it was theirs, but that's the place it did it. So the guy who drew that picture is named Roger, and it's on there, which I thought was just kind of odd. This is the drawing that the guy, Roger said was the creature that attacked, the family, and now we found it on DeviantArt by a guy named Roger. Who, I mean, is it a connection? We don't know, but it's just
it's odd.
It's odd. It's another part of the thing, But what's odd about that is that is the same exact description of the dog man that Glenn saw, the same exact one. And I find that kind of odd, after, we release, his story description of it, and then that particular drawing comes out just recently, kind of doesn't make any sense. But I wish the best for Roger. I really do. Okay. I would love for this thing to get resolved, but like I said, my biggest fear is that Roger's going to lose in the end. Okay. And a lot of people are going to be upset, because they were taken. And the thing of it is, I don't think Roger honestly has a mental case. I don't think he's somebody that's nuts and doing this. I honestly think he's doing this for fun. He's doing it for fun.
You think
just
so?
picked her. Yeah, I really do. I think he's doing it for fun. I think he's doing it to cause issues. I really do. I don't think he's out there to make any money off of this. But I don't know. It's just something's not right about it. I mean, I feel it in my gut. I feel it in my heart. Something's not right, because there's a saying: "Don't bullcrap a bullcrap artist." Mm-hmm. Okay, and everybody needs to think that way. When you have a gut feeling, you go with your gut feeling. That right there, it's the same thing. Like, don't judge a person by the color of the skin. Judge them by what's in their heart. Okay? It's the same thing with this. If your gut's telling you something's not right, then don't buy it. Don't go into it. Just question it. And that's all I'm asking people to do is question the guy. If you're just going to sit there and believe him and feel sorry for him, you're buying into him. And it's making him take this off further and further and further.
Yeah.
It needs to go away. Seriously, it just needs to go away.
Well, Jody, I tell you what, man, it's almost 10:30 over here where I'm at, and I know it's late where you're at. I'm going to wrap this up, but I really appreciate you coming on, and I appreciate you talking about it. And I wanted to have you come on and give your side of it. I think you guys have been kind of treated unfairly about this, folks. The NADP
it's going to get after this show, it's going to get worse.
Well,
you know that.
You know, you guys have been around for a long time, and you guys, we've worked together, and I don't. You guys have been very legit with me, and you know, and so I'm trying not to choose sides here, but I have to admit that you and Nick and the NADP are my friends, and I have a lot of respect for you guys, and you know, I'm not saying anything bad about this guy because I don't really know him, you know, but you know, I believe you when you tell me that, you know, he has not reached out to you. Like he keeps saying he has. Folks, Jody's not like a hard person to send messages to or to get through. I mean, he runs a big organization. If you wanted to talk to him, you know, maybe, you know, what the interference is that maybe somebody that's, you know, a fan of yours or a follower of yours, or they're in the NADP, maybe they have said things and in your name. That's possible, but Jody can't control that. You have no control over what these people do or say, you know?
No, we have monitors that check our messages and stuff.
Mhm.
Okay. And is it a possibility that, you know, it got misplaced or something? Yeah, it's a real big possibility. But when he says 6 times, I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. And it was all going on in our chat thing. And I was like on the messages on the comment section. And I was like, oh my gosh, there's people told me, I think it was Ryan or somebody was like, hey, did you see the war going on the comment section? And I was like, no, I did not. And then I went and I looked and I was like, yeah, we kind of have to, you know, figure something out here, you know, and I don't know, the only thing I can tell you 100% right now, Jody, is to not order that werewolf mask again.
No, I won't.
I laughed so hard. I felt bad for you. I know you were upset at the time, but I gotta admit, man, I laughed really hard.
I laughed. I laughed. I mean, when I got it, I was mad.
Like, what is this crap?
And then I laughed afterwards. But I have to sit there and say I'm gonna do an update, either this week or next week on the documentary, and I'm going to release some images of the dogmen that we're using for the documentary. We have 2 or 3 different pieces that we're using for different parts, but we have a full body, which is a beautiful costume that a real good friend of mine did, and I'll release his name on there. And he actually did one for a movie called Cocaine and Werewolves, where it's really cool because it's about drug dealers on the Mexican border. They're getting killed by Dogman, and it's yeah, it's
pretty crazy. It sounds crazy.
Yeah. So it's cool. So he did the costume, and I'm going to release a couple images of that. And this is a Dogman for and another one that I'm working on for some distance shots and things like that. So that's going to be really cool.
Well, if it wasn't COVID, I could go up there and I could help you out. I could change for you and you could use me. But I'm just kidding, folks. Don't start with the weird messages. So Jody, I'm gonna let you go. I appreciate you coming on and talking, and it's always a pleasure, my friend.
Let me say one thing. Anybody that's out there that's listening to the show, okay, if you disagree with me, I'm not upset with you. If you want to talk to me and, just to hear my side of the story one-on-one, or just, because you have a question you want to ask me, feel free. You know how to, you can message me on Facebook, or, through the NADP Facebook page. Talk to me. You're going to find out that I'm not this horrible person you think I am. So
he's much worse, folks.
I will talk to anybody. My wife will tell you I will literally talk to anybody. So,
and you're a very open person. Jody Cook is. I can say that about you, Jody. What you see is what you get, folks.
Yeah.
So, all right, Jody. You have a good night, man, and we'll be in touch, man.
Yeah. Get with me when you get a free chance, there, buddy.
Sure.
All right. Good night, have a good one. Right, you too, buddy. Bye.
So, That's my friend Jody. I just felt like he needed a fair shake. He needed to be able to come on. And Voltron, I want to thank you for that donation, $100 donation. That's awesome. That helps the show keep going. Like I said, right now, me and Anthony in the studio, and we had to miss work, and we have so much work right now. It's unreal, which I'm not complaining. I mean, it's good to have work. And Voltron says, just showing love for the show and everyone here. It's not much, but it's something that's better than nothing. It's good, man. And like I said, Jody's a friend of mine, and he's been real busy with his documentary. He's been having a hard time trying to get it done because of the COVID thing. And I did donate to it and try to help him out. And folks, there's a lot of stuff that people don't know. They don't realize what goes on. I mean, if you're a podcaster or a researcher or an author, there's a lot that goes on into this. I mean, believe me, I've had long conversations with Linda Godfrey, long conversations with, Nick Redfern, and talked to these people off the air, and talk to Jody, and all these people, these researchers, Lon Strickler. I mean, they all have different beliefs. They all have different opinions. They're all different individuals, but they all share one thing, a passion for what we're doing. And I can tell you right now that everybody's just trying to make it. You know what I mean? And they want to be able to do this, but there's just not a lot of money in it. You're not gonna get rich doing this. I'm sorry. And so this whole idea that these people are just making a big bunch of money off of this, and you're just getting rich off of it, that's just not the case. I mean, that's just not the case. I mean, these people are taking their time and their effort, and they're putting it into, doing these things, writing books for you to read and making shows for you to watch and to listen to, and doing research for you to study. Try being a little nicer, just attacking people because they're trying to get to the truth. You can't, and like I said, I'm not attacking this guy because I don't know him. I don't know him from Adam. If he wants to come on and talk to me, we'll chop it up. But I'm going to ask some hard questions. And if he can answer them, well, God bless him. But if he can't, well, it's going to look the way it looks, but I'm not against the guy. But I think that this just attacking, Valente and Cook over them trying to kind of gatekeep, and the guys from the Cryptid Institute, I'm not against those guys. They seem like two honest, good Christian men. And I don't think that they're liars. I don't think that they have anything to do with this guy's story, but they put it out there. But, if the guy is lying and it comes out, I mean, then it's going to look bad. It's going to look bad for him, but it looks bad for the field, because they already think we're a bunch of lunatics out here looking for the Wolfman or a big hairy primate, out there running around, or you're looking for ghosts and UFOs and whatever. They already look at us like we're a bunch of nuts. I mean, the other day I was at a wedding, and this guy, he tells me, you believe in that whack? And he got real nasty, and I guess he didn't know that I actually have a show. And I got right in his face, and I was like, yeah, I believe in it, dude. I absolutely believe in it. And then I had my fist clenched, and I was about 2 inches away from his face. And I'm 6'4", 360 pounds, and I was looming over him. And I was like, yeah, I believe in it, dude. Yeah, what's up? What are you going to do? So then he's like, oh, well, that's fine. That's cool. I'm just messing with you, folks. I didn't do that. I just slapped the crap out of him and knocked him over with the crab cakes. That's all I did. But the point is that people will push my buttons, when it comes to this. I'll be like, oh, that's crazy, weird, blah, blah, blah. And then I hand him a business card. Yeah, I do that. I actually have a show about that stuff. So, thank you for insulting me, But you're looked at as a weirdo already, because of this. And then you got to get attacked when you're trying to, kind of protect our field. And I didn't think that was right. And so I told Jody the other day, hey, I'm going to call you when I get well, and I'm going to have you come on the show. And so he did. He came on. Why is that music so loud? It's like I'm shopping at some third rate.
Well, you don't need the headphones. You can take them off,
Okay, because the people they can't possibly be enjoying this Japanese elevator music.
Well, it's not not as loud as them as it is to you.
Okay. I don't know why I got the headphones on. So, folks, I wanted to tell y'all something. I wanted to let everybody know that I was attacked. Okay. For that is how I got my kidney stone. If anybody wants to know the truth, I went to a shaman, and he claims that sorcerers put a spell on me, and it came from my enemies. Okay. And so they thought that by trying to turn me into a yam, okay, that they were going to stop me, but instead all they did was give me a kidney stone. Okay. So that's what you get when you go to a third-rate, cut-rate warlock from Uganda. Next time, get a good, wholesome Native American shaman to, do your spell or whatever, because the kidney stone, that's all it did. It was just, it hurt for a couple days, and it sucked, but I didn't get turned into a yam. That's the important thing. However, the warlock that did it, he is now in excruciating pain. His lower body is now edible. He can be eaten at Thanksgiving. I'm pretty sure pretty soon he's going to be a complete yam because it bounced back to him. That's what happens. So, just wanted y'all to know that. I'm on to you, my enemies. So, Anthony, when you first heard that I was going to be turned into a yam, there was like a few minutes of shock, and then you cried, right?
I wasn't impressed.
You sounded like Bill Murray and Ed Wood. Do you denounce Satan and all his evils? Sure. But that's fine, man. Whatever. I mean, it didn't work, and I'm here, and we're doing the live stream. So I just want everybody to know that I really missed you guys. I wanted to be able to do the live stream last Tuesday, and I was actually feeling a little bit better when it first had moved, and then it kind of got stuck on my side, and I was like, oh no, it's back, and I can't, so it would have been horrible because I would have been in the middle of the live stream, and it would have started hurting again, and I would have probably fallen out of my chair. So Lunatic Fringe says he had me for dinner. That's good. You had yams. But I'm thankful. I'm thankful that I'm okay. I prayed to God that he would heal me, and everybody's prayers, that he would heal me. Still am not out of the woods 100%. I don't know that this thing is past yet. I've been taking this supplement that supposedly breaks it up, and it worked last time. And we'll see what happens. I don't get these a lot. I never got one until October 2016 or November 2016, and I think that that's the same one that's still in. It just moved, and then the other one I believe I passed, and so I guess two. This is part 2 of the first one. So don't forget to feed Mushu. Do I think sleep paralysis entities could be interdimensional or extraterrestrial? Yes, I do. That could actually be the case. I drank some cranberry juice today. Thank you, Marcus. And Voltron 76 does rock. $100. That helps the show. It definitely helps us, with the show. And if anybody's willing to become a Patreon member, that's a big help too. That really, really helps us a lot. So there was a lot of comments that were being made while Jody was on. Corey Cole, sleep apnea, it sucks, dude. I have it too. It's not nearly as bad now that I've lost a lot of weight, but it is what it is. Folks, please send me your thoughts and your prayers. We're trying to get this piece of land so that I can build my studio, and I can have a study that I can start writing and start doing my research, because if I had the studio and the study in the house, it'd be so much easier than having to come all the way over here to do everything. And I could do so much more. And so please help us to get that land. We're hoping that the loan goes through and that we will be on our way to getting that piece of property. And so just pray that it goes through, please. What I used to break it up, Sablon, and I know who you are. You've been a friend and a long time listener for a long time. Is a supplement called Chanza Piedra. It's called Stonebreaker. James Bada, he says, my grandma was a culandera, so that would be Bolita. And she always told me that bad people will see wicked things. Always be careful what you do, who you hang around with. Your sins will be forgiven, but only God forgives you. It's true. I love these things, but they're harder to find now. Curses can work, but they can also boomerang back. No, Steph O'Connell, our studio is pretty fly. And it's going to be the same thing. It's just going to be where we're at the house. Imagine if we had it at our own house where we didn't have to leave to make shows. That would be even more fly because I can do a lot more. I could probably produce 2 or 3 shows a week. I can do more studying. So, today is my mother's birthday, by the way, too. Unfortunately, she's suffering. Nina Sinclair says that she sent a donation through PayPal. Did you get that? Yeah. Okay. I think it's funny when people think we make all this money at the show. I mean, there's authors that don't make a lot of money. Nick Redfern and Ken Gerhard, they live in apartments, dude. They don't live in some big lavish house. I would say they're just ordinary guys, but they're far from ordinary. They're very extraordinary people. I love those guys. I love Linda Godfrey. She's a good person. I like Jody. Everybody who's supported me, believed in me, talked to me, had conversations with me outside of the show. They all will say the same thing. I'm very passionate about what I do. Or they wouldn't deal with me. I love my listeners, love my followers, love my fans. That's why I give you guys swag. I just ordered a bunch of swag so we can give it out. I'm trying to give you the hookup. We'll give you autographed books. Thank you, Clever Conquistador. He says a little something to help out the show and to break up the stones. Make sure you go to your local tax offices. I'm looking for land also and was told they do sheriff sales and resales. Good luck on the house, brother. The Central Texas is so hard right now. It's inundated with people trying to buy land. The minute that something hits the MLS, it's already like boom, you know. I wanted to do this again. I'm gonna have to do this on the Friday show too, because we get thousands of listeners who don't follow us on YouTube on the Friday show. Found that out. But this is my P.O. box. If anybody wants to send anything, I've had some people say that they were trying to write books and they wanted to send me their stories or whatever. And so The P.O. Box number is 6001 West Palmer Lane. Palmer is spelled P-A-R-M-E-R. Palmer. Suite 370, PMB 131. PMB 131. Austin, Texas 78727. Once again, 6001 West Palmer Lane, Suite 370, PMB 131, Austin, Texas 78727. So if you want to send anything, we've only gotten a couple pieces of mail so far because I haven't, revisited that. But that is our mailing address. So if anybody wants to send me their toenail clippings that they use to build the dollhouse, please don't send that. All right, folks, I guess that's it for tonight, man. Had fun talking to you guys. It was good to have Jody on and give his take on it and what he thinks is going on. And so I guess that's it. Until next week. Thank you, James. Appreciate it. Don't forget about the contest, folks. Mothman, get to drawing. Let's get it. Let's get it done. We ended up with 4 winners last month because we gave away 2 $100 prizes because there was a discrepancy. So I wanted to make sure that these people, nobody got screwed. Try to be fair and honest. Something that's greatly lacking in nowadays world. Okay, guys. I'll see you guys later. I love you all and good night. Yeah, I know.